As a faint light gradually seeped in, the scene slowly came into focus. The girl couldn't help but think in astonishment, "Wow, where is this? Where am I?" Suddenly, a voice echoed in her ears. "Junior sister, why would you do this?" She opened her eyes, a wave of sharp pain washing over her body. "This hurts so much," she cursed inwardly. "My whole body aches." The icy voice continued, laced with interrogation. "Did you really think you could marry whomever you pleased?" He looked down at her with disdain, sneering, "With your useless constitution, you dare defy me. You're courting death." He leaned closer, his fingers pinching her chin, a cruel, emotionless glint in his eyes. His low voice dripped with sarcasm. "Let me tell you the truth. If you marry Sui Yuan this time, he's a sinister and vicious man. No one will dare laugh at you." Her chin ached under his grip, a wave of helplessness and shock washing over her. "Let me tell you the truth. If you marry Sui Yuan this time, he's a sinister and vicious man. No one will dare laugh at you." Marry Sui Yuan, she thought, bewildered. What was he talking about? His filthy hand greedily caressed her slender, pale neck, his voice a chilling threat. Rather than suffering with him in a dark, lightless place, why not come with me? She could no longer suppress the disgust within her. Hatred filled her face, her eyes blazing with fury, as if to incinerate his vile actions. With lightning-fast precision, she silently drew the dagger hidden beneath her. A cold glint sliced through the air. Her eyes, furious and wary, fixed on him as she held the dagger before her like a shield. Her voice was ice. "Get away." He recoiled in shock, blood already welling on his hand. His eyes filled with rage. He snarled through gritted teeth, "Yin Wan, you dare defy me. You dare attack a fellow disciple. Just wait until I report this to the Venerable One. Let's see how he deals with you." With that, he stormed off, slamming the door shut. An invisible barrier instantly shimmered into existence at the doorway, clearly meant to prevent her escape. She stared blankly at her surroundings, her gaze sweeping over every unfamiliar architectural detail. Everything felt like it belonged to another world. "Where's this?" She wondered, her mind racing. Wasn't I just at the competition, about to go home? She looked around in disbelief. Everything was so foreign, as if she were trapped in a bizarre dream. She maintained her defensive stance, her grip tight on the dagger, her gaze fixed on the sharp blade of the dagger, her own reflection staring back at her. She froze, her breath catching in her throat. The reflection showed a young girl's shocked eyes, dressed in ancient clothing, her face so unfamiliar it was unsettling. A terrifying realization dawned on her. These clothes, this face. I become. A wave of dizziness washed over her. She pressed a hand to her forehead, her head throbbing as if pierced by 1,000 needles. "Ugh," she groaned softly. The world spun around her, deepening her confusion and disorientation. Harmonious Joy Sect Disciple Yun Wan, born with the extreme joy cauldron physique, a genius cultivator of the joyous path. Cultivators within 10 meters of her benefit from her constitution, and dual cultivation with her can help them break through realms. However, her physique and stunning beauty have brought her countless misfortunes. On her way to marry Sui Yuan, Yin Wan was tragically violated. Her own father orchestrated her marriage to the mysterious villainous boss, Sui Yuan, turning her into a plaything for men, thus beginning her tragic life. Although Yin Wan possesses the extreme joy cauldron, she also has a unique leaking spirit constitution. All the cultivation she absorbs vanishes like water into a bottomless pit. After falling into the demonic path, she uses this to take revenge on the men who harmed her, draining their cultivation dry. She stood frozen, memories flashing through her mind. A mysterious book appeared before her, the very novel she had recently read. Finally, it clicked. I become the novel's namesake supporting character. Oh my God, I'm the cultivation world's Black Widow. That author really. A wry smile touched her lips, the irony stinging. A genius girl, nothing special besides that. That's me, frantically searching for an escape. Her gaze landed on the floating book. A daring thought crossed her mind. If I tear this book, can I return to the modern world? I don't want to be some extreme joy cauldron, she muttered. Whoever wants it can have it. If I tear this book, can I return to the modern world? Without hesitation, she reached up and pulled the hairpins from her hair one by one, the sound of them clattering to the floor echoing in the room. I will never marry that Sui Yuan, she vowed inwardly. She ripped off her outer robe, her eyes filled with determination. I will not become a plaything for those men. After removing all the hairpins and heavy clothing, she gently smoothed her cascading hair, then quickly tied it into a bun, her eyes burning with determination. Even if I've transmigrated into the tragic female supporting role, I will live well. Suddenly, a clamor arose from outside. She immediately became alert, thinking I have to get out of here. She spotted a bundle in the corner of the room, bent down to pick it up, and as she opened it, a talisman fell out. It turned out these were the things she had brought with her when she transmigrated. Inside the bundle were several items, each with its own use. A glazed mirror that could send messages like a phone, a spirit seal for changing her appearance, a talisman to suppress spiritual power, allowing for temporary disguise, and a few clothes, spirit stones, and paper talismans, a miscellaneous assortment. Looking at these rather useless items, she complained inwardly. There isn't even a single life-saving artifact. She had already chosen the spirit seal. Yunwan placed the spirit seal on her forehead. A gentle light spread out, enveloping her in a layer of mystical spiritual energy. She picked up the mirror and examined her new appearance, quite satisfied. Her features had become more ordinary, making her less conspicuous in a crowd. Safety first. Suddenly, a group of men's vulgar and obscene voices came from outside. The sect leader said we can have our way with her tonight. Let the brothers all see what a top-grade cauldron tastes like. Yunwan realized that a major turning point in the plot was about to arrive. What surprised her even more was that they had returned so quickly. She finally decided to use her next item, the teleportation talisman. But nothing happened. Time ticked by, and Yunwan grew increasingly anxious. Any further delay would be disastrous. She prayed silently in her heart. Faster, faster, get me out of here. Finally, the talisman activated, and before danger arrived, her figure vanished from the room. Safe now, she let out a sigh of relief and couldn't help but chuckle softly. The disgusting men rushed into the room, their faces full of greed and lust. But they were shocked, their eyes wide. The room was empty, save for the wedding dress Yun-Wan had casually tossed on the floor. Where is she? One of them asked angrily. The talisman had transported Yun-Wan to a completely unfamiliar place. The light faded, and she tumbled to the ground, stumbling at first, but quickly regaining her balance. Clutching her still racing heart, she thought with lingering fear, that was close. I finally escaped. The talisman had actually sent her to the middle of a dark forest, and it was the dead of night. The surrounding silence and eerie scenery made her increasingly panicked. She walked forward cautiously and suddenly stepped on a dry branch. The crisp snapping sound broke the silence of the forest. She became even more alert, fear creeping in her heart, feeling like there was something wrong behind her. She wandered through the darkness, terrified. This forest seems extremely dangerous. I have no idea how far I've been transported. What if they catch up? But then she suddenly remembered something, right? I remember the novel's author wrote that this glazed mirror is a place to accept quests. Yunwan quickly took the mirror out of her bag. Sure enough, there were a bunch of bizarre quests inside. Find a lovesick fool, earn real gold and silver, guard 3 spirit stones for 3 kilometers. Bad luck if you can't buy it. Fall into my senior brotherly Shuangyun's trap if you can't buy it. Sword sect disciple went down the mountain 3 days ago and hasn't returned. Whoever finds my senior brother will be handsomely rewarded. What's in front of you is a lie. Don't believe it. It was all a chaotic mess of tasks. Looking at these quests, she complained helplessly, what is all this nonsense? Suddenly, her eyes lit up as she saw a quest that seemed normal and simple. High price reward for expert escort. Specific compensation negotiable. A mysterious vortex suddenly appeared in the mirror. The glazed mirror prompted. The quest you posted has been accepted. The cultivator is 100 kilometers away from you. Please wait patiently. Holding the mirror, she felt the happiness brought by this convenience and thought, Cultivation World ride-hailing is so cool. But she waited and waited, first standing like a helpless puppy. Then she simply sat down, waiting listlessly, each second passing excruciatingly slowly. She paced back and forth, having long since grown impatient, about to explode. It felt like a whole century had passed, and there was still no movement. She finally couldn't help but yell, Cultivation World ride-hailing my ass. 1,000 meters a day, only 24 kilometers in this time. At this rate, the person I'm waiting for will be dead. And just as Yunwan was about to lose her mind from waiting, in a distant place, a certain thing had been quietly watching her for a long time. Its eyes flickered with an eerie red glow in the darkness, but Yun-Wan remained completely oblivious to the approaching danger. She was still frustrated about the quest, muttering, "Forget it, there's no point in rushing, nothing's happened anyway." Suddenly, an elongated drop of water landed on her shoulder. She glanced up curiously, surprise flashing in her eyes. Standing before her was a massive beast with snow-white fur and blood-red eyes. Its enormous frame made Yun-Wan freeze instantly, her whole body as if bound by invisible chains, unable to move. Yun-Wan couldn't even move a finger, her heart filled with disbelief. "This can't be happening," she thought to herself. The beast roared, frightening Yun-Wan so badly she collapsed to the ground, her legs refusing to obey. She covered her face in terror, surrendering herself to the control of this ferocious creature. Just then, the mirror suddenly emitted countless dazzling rays of light, accompanied by a notification sound. "Ding! Your cultivator has arrived at the destination and can begin the task." The mirror announced again, "Ding! Your cultivator has arrived at the destination and can begin the task." At that moment, hurried footsteps broke the silence. Before she could react, Yun-Wan was abruptly pulled backward by a firm yet gentle force. The person pulled her behind them. She looked up to see a broad, solid back, as dependable as Mount Tai. The powerful aura emanating from the tall figure made it hard for her to look away. Stunned by the sudden turn of events, Yun-Wan could only stare blankly at the person who stood between her and danger like a solid barrier. He brandished the long sword in his hand with crisp, powerful movements, his stern demeanor brooking no resistance. His sharp gaze locked onto the roaring beast before him, his low voice a command, "Get out." The beast froze instantly, clearly sensing the threat. It growled a few times, seeming to hesitate, but quickly turned and fled, leaving behind only a trail of dissipating dust. Only then did Yun-Wan breathe a sigh of relief, whispering, "Phew, I'm finally saved." The person turned around, looking at her with calm, sharp eyes, his tone even, as if interrogating her. "Are you the one who requested an escort?" The stranger's gaze remained fixed on Yun-Wan, his expression indifferent, seemingly waiting for her explanation. Yun-Wan stared back blankly, still in shock, her mind a jumble, unable to speak for a long moment. The surroundings were silent, save for the rustling of leaves in the wind, as if time itself had stopped for an instant. After a while, she hesitantly spoke. Yun-Wan enthusiastically introduced herself. "I am Yun-Wan. I strayed into this place. My cultivation is shallow, and I wish to request an escort. May I know how to address you, fellow Taoist?" Taoist Chi Ting Yun glanced at her, his tone calm and concise as he replied, "My surname is Chi, given name Ting Yun." He then asked, "Where do you wish to go?" Yun-Wan looked at him, feeling a little flustered, and slowly said, "To." She trailed off mid-sentence, momentarily unsure how to answer. She thought to herself, "That's right, I just want to escape from here, but I haven't thought about where I actually want to go." Suddenly, an idea flashed through her mind. "I need to find a good sect to join." That's right, I said that when I was little. Kunlun and Jingwe are the two largest sects in the book. Kunlun, as the head of the four great sects, has vast influence. Besides sword cultivation and alchemy, there are also talisman cultivation and yin cultivation. Besides, the original owner has a destined relationship with Kunlun. I have to stay away from Jingwe. Finally, a glint of determination flashed in Yun-Wan's eyes. Looking directly at Chi Ting Yun, she mustered her courage and asked, "I want to go to Kunlun. Can you take me there, fellow Taoist?" Taoist Chi Ting Yun was silent for a moment, his expression unchanged, and simply replied, "Yes, but it will cost extra." Yun-Wan forced a smile and asked, "How much extra?" Chi Ting Yun didn't answer immediately. He simply waved his hand, and his long sword floated in the air like lightning, the glow of spiritual energy illuminating the surroundings. Chi Ting Yun said coldly, "Ask it." Yun-Wan looked curiously at the exquisite and powerful engravings on the sword and asked, "This sword is so beautiful. What's its name?" Chi Ting Yun replied succinctly, "Unparalleled good sword." Hearing this, she scratched her head, a little embarrassed, and asked again, "I know it's a good sword. I'm asking for its name." Seeing that she hadn't understood, Chi Ting Yun repeated word by word, "Its name is Unparalleled Good Sword." Yun-Wan repeated after him, unparalleled good sword. Oh, I'm asking. She still hadn't understood what Chi Ting Yun meant. Chi Ting Yun patiently confirmed again, his tone as calm as ever. Yes, its name is unparalleled. Good sword. Yun Wan froze, her face filled with shock and disbelief, stunned and at a loss. She held out 5 spirit stones in front of the sword, hopefully bargaining, will 5 spirit stones do? But the long sword remained motionless, clearly uninterested in the price she offered, as if disdaining it as too low. Yun Wan sighed, feeling an inexplicable pang of heartache, and pulled out a few more spirit stones from her pocket, placing them on top. Then how about 8? No, 10. These are all top-grade spirit stones I picked up on the mountain. Only when Yun Wan resolved herself and took the plunge did the sword tremble slightly, slowly sliding from its scabbard. As the sword fully emerged, sword chi surged, radiating a dazzling light. Yun Wan gasped, her mouth agape, unable to speak, frozen in place. Awestruck by the invisible pressure emanating from the blade, she watched as the peerless sword whistled through the air and landed beside her. The sword hovered at her feet, floating by her side. Curiously, Yunwan asked Chi Ting Yun, this is... She felt as if struck by lightning, a mixture of shock and disbelief coursing through her, leaving her momentarily speechless and bewildered. Without further thought, Yunwan exclaimed excitedly, okay. Her enthusiasm was uncontainable, as if experiencing such a wondrous thing for the first time. Everything was so novel. She sat on the sword, then looked back and asked Taoist Chi, are you sitting behind me? But when Chi Ting Yun saw her completely incorrect sword-riding posture, he simply sighed softly and said nothing. He then stepped forward and effortlessly lifted her as if she were a kitten. The sword instantly pierced through the air. The night was silent. The wind howled. Yun Wan felt the cool breeze on her face and clung tightly to Chi Ting Yun. They stood steadily on the sword, flying through the sky. Yun Wan slowly opened her eyes, her pupils gradually widening as the surrounding scenery came into focus. The scenery below was so breathtakingly beautiful that she was stunned, as if nothing in the world could compare to the mystery and wonder of this place. She couldn't help but turn to Chi Ting Yun and ask, where is this? How can it be so beautiful? Chi Ting Yun looked at her quizzically, a hint of suspicion in his eyes. Hearing her question, he replied, didn't you say you stumbled in here by mistake? You don't even know this is Gao Mountain. Yin Wan felt a pang of guilt and quickly covered up, I was kidnapped. Chi Ting Yun didn't believe her explanation. He frowned slightly, his eyes clearly filled with suspicion. Gazing at the vast mountain range before her, Yin Wan curiously asked, this mountain is so big, how long will it take us to get out? Chi Ting Yun replied coldly, 1 hour. Yin Wan still didn't understand what he meant and asked in surprise, 1 hour. As soon as she finished speaking, a sudden change occurred. They plunged downwards at an unimaginable speed, the night sky torn apart by the howling wind. Yin Wan had no time to react, only to scream in panic as she felt her body plummeting at a terrifying velocity. Her screams echoed in the darkness, filled with fear and confusion. Chi Ting Yun landed gracefully, but Yin Wan wasn't so lucky. Lacking his light landing technique, she kissed the ground hard, her body crashing heavily onto the cold, hard surface. Ouch, she muttered, rubbing the sore spot, and suggested to Chi Ting Yun, can we just go directly to Kunlun? I've already paid. Chi Ting Yun calmly sheathed his sword and explained in a serious tone, 10 spirit stones. 3 for the flying sword, 7 for me to escort you to Kunlun on foot. Flying to Kunlun is a separate charge. Yin Wan puffed out her cheeks like a puffer fish, angered by his words. She flipped him off, cursing inwardly, you profiteer, you might as well just rob me. Chi Ting Yun didn't understand her gesture and asked coldly, what does that finger mean? Yin Wan forced a smile, it means thank you, brother. He immediately returned the gesture, saying, you're welcome. Yin Wan nearly choked with anger, thinking, serves me right. An hour passed. They were still far from their destination and finally decided to stop and rest. Yin Wan cupped her hands around her mouth, blowing warm air to warm herself. She shivered uncontrollably from the cold, helpless against the original owner's weak constitution. Exhausted and freezing, this furnace body was truly too frail. She looked at the pile of firewood in front of her. The fire hadn't been lit yet. Seeing that Chi Ting Yun remained silent, Yin Wan mustered her last bit of courage and asked for help. Taoist Chi, could you share some fire with me? Chi Ting Yun slowly opened his eyes. He said coldly, "The 5 thieves reside in the heart, yet act upon the heavens. Heaven and earth reside in the heart. All things are born from within." Yun Wan was stunned, feeling as if she had been force-fed a philosophy lesson. Confused, she asked, what are you talking about? He closed his eyes again, leaving only one sentence. "Comprehend it yourself." She looked at Chi Ting Yun, thinking, is he teaching me? So she closed her eyes and began to focus. With her eyes closed, she concentrated, trying to understand. His words echoed repeatedly in her mind. The 5 thieves reside in the heart, yet act upon the heavens. Heaven and earth reside in the heart. All things are born from within. She began to circulate her spiritual energy. A faint aura enveloped her body, and wisps of golden spiritual energy gradually gathered from her fingertips, surprising even Yun Wan herself. A flicker of flame danced from her fingertip onto the pile of firewood, instantly igniting the bonfire. Warm firelight finally bloomed. She cheered happily. "I learned how to make fire." To her surprise, Chi Ting Yun's eyes were filled with confusion, as if saying, Yun Wan, still immersed in her joy, hopped around like a child. "I can make fire." The atmosphere was a stark contrast. On one side, overflowing joy. On the other, deathly silence. Chi Ting Yun didn't even lift his eyelids, while Yun Wan felt as if she had accomplished some great feat, even though she had only lit a fire. Yun Wan glanced at him, thinking, this time I've transmigrated into a useless body, but at least having a bodyguard isn't bad. As long as I trust Chi Ting Yun, I can definitely reach Kunlun sect safely. Just then, her stomach suddenly growled loudly. The rumble was particularly loud, and Yun Wan felt extremely embarrassed. She quickly tried to leave. Chi Ting Yun coldly asked from behind, "Where are you going?" She turned back and explained, "I'm going to find something to eat. I'll be back soon. Don't worry, I can handle this small matter. Wait for me." The night deepened, and the surrounding forest was quiet, without a sound. After a long time, Yunwan only found a few wild fruits. She said with some frustration, "Why are there only these few wild fruits?" Suddenly, she stopped, her gaze fixed on the scene ahead. Ahead, there was a spiritual spring, and a man stood in the center of the spring. She thought in surprise, a spiritual spring? There really is a spiritual spring. The man slowly took off his outer robe, revealing his strong back. So late at night, and someone is bathing in the spiritual spring. Just then, her stomach growled again. She nervously backed away, afraid of being discovered. Just as she feared, the mysterious man slowly turned his head and looked over, his eyes full of alertness and danger. Yunwan panicked even more, caught red-handed. Suddenly, a leaf shot towards her like a sharp arrow, carrying a dangerous aura. Yunwan nimbly dodged, her face full of panic, and fell to the ground, scattering the wild fruits in her hand. But she didn't care about these at all, only warily staring at the approaching danger. A cold sword pressed against Yunwan's neck. This was the first time she truly felt the threat of death. The man coldly asked, "Who are you?" It was Chu Lin of the Zhengyu sect. Seeing him, Yunwan immediately recognized Chu Lin, and her heart panicked. Unlucky, I actually ran into Chu Lin. He was the genius male protagonist, Chu Lin, from the novel. The man the original Yun Wan had once trusted and loved deeply. But Chu Lin had used the original Yun Wan's feelings and personally killed her, even allowing those soul-devouring demons to devour her flesh and blood, leaving her soul unable to rest in peace. This man loved the world, but betrayed Yun Wan. He could save the world 3 times, but he never saved Yun Wan. Suddenly, an extremely impatient voice came from behind. "Who are you?" Yunwan looked back and saw a girl with her hands on her hips, glaring at her angrily. Yunwan pretended to be innocent and replied, "Just passing by." The girl didn't believe her at all and shouted angrily, "Passing by? Who are you trying to fool? So late at night, you didn't deliberately follow us here, did you?" She sneered, sneaking around just to peek at my senior brother bathing. Hearing her call Chu Lin's senior brother, Yunwan immediately figured out the girl's identity. So it's Qin Jian of the Jingwei sect. Now that she thought about it, this was the only daughter of the Jingwei sect, Qin Jian. No wonder she was so arrogant. It turned out she was also a brain-dead Chu Lin fan. Just like her, a vicious female supporting character who died early. Yin Wan coldly pushed away the tip of Chu Lin's sword and said bluntly, "You can eat anything, but you can't talk nonsense. I came to the forest to look for fruit. How did I become a pervert?" She slowly stood up. Qin Jian stubbornly asked, "What if you're not?" Yin Wan crossed her arms with a cold face and looked directly into her eyes, asking, "Then I ask you, did your senior brother bathe?" Qin Jian retorted, "Of course he did." Yin Wan began to turn the tables on her. "Did you see it with your own eyes?" Qin Jian foolishly replied, "I've been guarding behind him." "Of course I know." Finally, Yin Wan successfully trapped her tone as if she were convicting a pervert, and said lightly, "So you were the one peeking." Only then did Qin Jian realize that she had been tricked by Yin Wan. For a moment, she was stunned, not knowing how to explain to Chu Lin. She turned and hurriedly explained to Chu Lin, "Senior brother, I didn't peek at you bathing. She's lying, slandering me." After finishing, Qin Jian continued to accuse Yin Wan. "In this wilderness, what is a decent girl doing here? I think you're just coveting my senior brother's beauty. Look at yourself. What makes you worthy? What kind of virtue do you have?" But Yin Wan immediately countered, "In this wilderness, you're also here. Could it be that you're coveting some wild man's beauty? What a proper, well-educated, and reasonable girl." Qin Jian, exposed, flew into a rage. "You're talking nonsense," she roared, her whole body trembling, eyes filled with resentment. "You ugly woman." Insulted for her looks, Yin Wan thought, "Isn't it because my original appearance was too eye-catching that I had to become like this? Besides, I'd rather ogle my handsome guard than Chu Lin." A slight smile touched her lips as a daring idea popped into her head. Qin Jian watched, dumbfounded, as Yin Wan slowly approached, completely clueless about her intentions. Yin Wan stopped in front of Chu Lin and gently placed her hands on his chest. Completely caught off guard, Chu Lin froze, statue-like, as Yin Wan continued, her handprints lingering on his chest. Yin Wan turned around with a look of disgust, examined her palms, and coughed. "TCH, this physique. Your senior brother isn't even half as good-looking as my pretty boy." Chu Lin was stunned. In all his years, no one had ever dared to criticize his appearance. Qin Jian trembled with rage. You dare." She drew her sword, its cold tip pointing at Yin Wan. "You dare take advantage of my senior brother. I'll kill you." But just then, an invisible force blocked her sword. Chu Lin, instantly alert, looked around. He spotted a figure in the distance. "Who's there? Come out," he demanded cautiously. Chi Ting Yun emerged from the shadows, his voice cold. "The pretty boy she mentioned is me." His words stunned Yin Wan. Chi Ting Yun leaned down, a playful glint in his eyes. "Right, Yin Wan." Mortified, Yin Wan couldn't bring herself to answer, her face burning crimson as her little scheme was exposed. Qin Jian raged, "I don't care who you are. This ugly woman dared to offend my senior brother. I will make her pay. Chi Ting Yun meredi cha coldly. Is that so?" In his eyes, Qin Jian's strength was nothing more than child's play. Killing intent radiated from him as he sneered. "I'd like to see how you'll make us pay." Qin Jian, preoccupied with the men, remained oblivious to the danger. Chu Lin, however, quickly regained his composure, sensing Chi Ting Yun's immense power. "It's a misunderstanding," he interjected smoothly. "Please forgive us." Confused by her senior brother's sudden change in attitude, Qin Jian asked, "Senior brother." Eventually, they parted ways. Seeing his junior sister still frozen in place, Chu Lin urged, "Let's go." At these words, Chu Lin fell silent, his gaze sharp. He recalled the sword in Chi Ting Yun's hand. Unaware of his unease, Qin Jian continued to press. "Senior brother, why did you stop me? Those two are just Chi refining stage cultivators. Why back down?" But Chu Lin wasn't as foolish as her. He knew he couldn't sense their true cultivation levels. The woman might be at the Chi refining stage, but the man was entirely different. That sword, if he wasn't mistaken, it was the unique evil spirit sword, one of the 4 ancient swords. And the one who could wield that sword was the only person who dared to venture into the 10,000 burial pit alone at the age of 2 or 3. No one knew his true appearance. Could that person be Sui Yuan? Chu Lin wonder. By the time Yin Wan, and Chi Ting Yun reached ZK City, the sky was already bright. Looking at the bustling scene around her, Yunwan exclaimed, "Wow, it's so lively." A crowd had gathered in front of a notice board in the distance. So many people, Yunwan thought. Has something big happened here? Driven by curiosity, she gently squeezed into the crowd. Excuse me. But when she saw the notice on the board, she froze. The portrait on the wanted poster was of her. Whispers filled the air around her. I heard that the Lord's adopted daughter injured a fellow disciple and ran away in the middle of the night. No one knows if it's true. It specifically says, capture alive, so it seems the inner sect will handle this personally. Sigh, that adopted daughter is really beautiful. Suppressing her anger, Yunwan sneered inwardly. Great, I was bullied and humiliated, and my so-called father considers me his adopted daughter. It's a good thing the original owner left this body long ago, or she'd be furious seeing this. Suddenly, she spotted a familiar figure in the distance, the man who had tried to dissect her that night. He was whispering to his fellow disciples, "If we can't find Yunwan, we can only capture that demon creature and report back to the Lord." Yunwan tensed, her mind made up. He hasn't returned yet. I can't stay here long. As her thoughts raced, Chi Ting Yun watched her, his expression cold. Yunwan turned around, trying to put on a gentle expression as she asked Chi Ting Yun, "Senior brother, shall we pack our things and leave this afternoon? What do you think?" He simply replied coldly, "Today is the 15th. The ghost gate is wide open. It's not suitable to travel." Hearing Chi Ting Yun's words, Yunwan froze, her body stiffening. She said in a panicked voice, "Then let's stay here for one night and leave tomorrow." After exchanging some information, the two moved to the inn. Yunwan asked in surprise what. She hurried to ask the innkeeper, who replied with some difficulty, "I'm truly sorry, honored guests. Every year in the middle of July, fierce ghosts roam freely. Besides yourselves, we've also reserved rooms for disciples from various sects, so there's only one room left. Or you could try looking elsewhere." But Yunwan knew this was already the largest inn. If there were no rooms here, there certainly wouldn't be any elsewhere. Hesitation filled her eyes. "Then we'll just make do with one room for the night." To convince him, she added, "Don't worry, I won't do anything to you." Hearing Yunwan's ambiguous words, he turned his head and asked, "Do what?" His blunt counter-question nearly made Yunwan spit blood. Was this guy truly innocent or just plain stupid? In the end, the two shared a room. Yunwan arrived at the room, gently pushed the door open, and walked in. Seeing only one bed, they both froze. Yunwan sweetly offered, "You take the bed. I'll sleep on the floor. Don't be polite." But that guy actually agreed immediately, leaving her dumbfounded. Night fell, and Yunwan spread the cool mat on the cold floor by herself, still muttering in her heart. Chi Ting Yun, that jerk, actually took advantage of the situation so naturally. Outside, the moon was bright, and the night sky was dotted with stars. Soft moonlight spilled in through the cracks in the door. Soon, Yunwan fell into a deep sleep. Inside the room, Yunwan was having a sweet dream when suddenly someone in red clothes quietly approached. Yunwan sensed the movement and abruptly opened her eyes, pretending to be asleep, wanting to see what the person was going to do. The feet drew closer and closer. With quick eyes and hands, Yunwan grabbed the blanket she was using and swiftly threw it over the person. The person was startled by her sudden action and froze for a moment. Yunwan then unleashed a flurry of punches and kicks, cursing, "You pervert, how dare you take advantage of me?" There were only the two of them in the room, so she naturally assumed it was Chi Ting Yun. However, hearing the commotion, Chi Ting Yun asked coldly from behind the curtain, "Are you sure?" But Yunwan hadn't reacted yet and continued to pummel the blanket. It wasn't until she noticed Chi Ting Yun was still on the bed that she was stunned. It wasn't him. Could it be a thief? She glanced again at the figure on the ground, thinking, impossible, right? Even thieves wouldn't dare to come at a time like this, would they? She hesitated. Could it be? Not wanting to wait any longer, she yanked the blanket away. The blanket flew up, revealing a female ghost in red clothes. One of her eye sockets empty. She slowly reached out towards Yunwan and asked eerily, "Can you see my eye?" Only then did Yunwan realize what she had gotten herself into and screamed. After the scream, she feigned composure. "I'm so sorry. I didn't knock your eyeball out on purpose. I'll pick it up for you." Finally finding the eyeball, she closed her eyes and, bracing herself, stuffed it into the female ghost's eye socket. After much effort, she finally managed to get it in, but the eyeball was crooked. She stammered, "Let's try again. I'm so sorry. Oh no, I've ruined your pupil." Suddenly, a faint explosion sounded in the room. Guess what? The female ghost's eyeball actually exploded. Yinwan panicked, thinking, "I'm done for. I didn't do it on purpose." Her whole body trembled as she stared at the female ghost. The female ghost's terrifying face slowly approached Yunwan, whispering coldly, "Try again." At this moment, Yunwan remembered she had someone to rely on and hurriedly cried out to Chi Ting Yun for help. "Senior brother, save me." But Chi Ting Yun simply held his sword coldly, steady as a rock, not moving a muscle. The female ghost merely pressed against her, not actually doing anything. Her unusual behavior puzzled Yunwan. Why isn't she attacking me? Could it be? Yunwan's eyes widened. Could it be that she's testing me? Yunwan instantly became filled with fighting spirit, no longer afraid. She grabbed the female ghost's hand and assured her, "Don't worry, I'll definitely fix it for you." Even the female ghost was stunned. Who asked her to fix it? Yunwan directly dragged the female ghost to the dressing table, making her sit down like a rag doll, while she herself directed from aside. Chi Ting Yun watched from afar, curious to see what kind of trouble this girl was going to stir up next. The more he watched, the more puzzled he became by Yunwan. She handed Exquisite Sword a spirit stone and said, "Exquisite Sword, please grind this spirit stone into the size of an eyeball for me." Both the shopkeeper and the sword were stunned by her unusual request. It was the first time in Exquisite Sword existence that it had received such a request. It absorbed the spirit stone into its blade, and the entire sword immediately radiated spiritual light, emitting a dazzling glow of spiritual power. A transparent purple eyeball was delivered to Yunwan by Exquisite Sword. After receiving the custom-made treasure, Yunwan began the next step, applying makeup to the red-clothed ghost. She chose red as the main color and gently swept on red eyeshadow. The red-clothed ghost's lips were also painted with bright red lipstick. The final and most difficult step was to place the new eyeball in the correct position. Yunwan was extremely nervous, reminding herself repeatedly to be careful with each step. It didn't take long for her to finish. She turned the red-clothed ghost towards the mirror and said happily, "Phew, finally done." Red-clothed ghost, take a look. The mirror reflected the ghost's stunning beauty, her heterochromatic eyes, one purple and one red, adding a touch of charm and mystique. The red-clothed ghost was very satisfied with her new look and asked Yunwan with interest, "You're quite brave. Aren't you afraid of me?" Yunwan answered honestly, "I am. If I weren't afraid, how would I dare to serve you like this?" The ghost asked again, "Then is that man your husband?" Yunwan misunderstood and awkwardly explained, No, he's not. Not your husband, then he's." The ghost concluded, "Oh, so he's your kept man." Yunwan glanced guiltily at Chi Ting Yun. Unexpectedly, in the eyes of the red-clothed ghost, such a handsome man was actually Yunwan's kept man. The ghost's seductive voice arose again. "Actually, I took a liking to him from the start. I wanted to absorb his yang energy. If you and I are fated, I'll spare his life." Suddenly, she handed Yunwan a small golden bead and said, "Your skillful hands are truly remarkable. I have a few siblings who are also missing eyeballs. See if you can help them as well. This is your reward." Yunwan's eyes lit up, and she asked doubtfully, "What is this?" The ghost leaned in mysteriously and whispered, This is a treasure that makes men more potent. I see your kept man isn't very capable, so you'll definitely need this." Yunwan mumbled, No need, he's quite good." But the ghost gave her no chance to refuse. The ghost forced the bead into her hand and threatened, "Take it, or I'll kill him." Yunwan had no choice but to accept the ghost's gift and said cautiously, "Sister, a prosthetic eye requires a spirit stone, which is quite valuable. I don't have that many spirit stones on me." The ghost, like a wealthy tycoon, tossed her a bag of spirit stones and asked, "Is this enough?" Yunwan's eyes lit up at the sight of the money, and she said happily enough. Before leaving, the ghost reminded her, "The ghost gate closes at the hour of the ox. Hurry up and prepare. Once you're done, come find me in the backwater forest." Yunwan smelled the scent of a big deal and immediately pulled her companion along. She beckoned to Chi Ting Yun. "Hey, don't just stand there, come and help." He asked coldly, "Among the 6 realms, only demons are untrustworthy. Aren't you afraid she'll trick you?" But Yunwan, as always, was fearless you don't understand. In business, success and failure are always 50-50. How can you not dare to try just because you're afraid? As the saying goes, fortune favors the bold. The main reason, however, was her absolute confidence in Chi Ting Yun. Besides, even if she were tricked, wouldn't he be there? She looked up at him and said a little shyly, with senior brother here, I feel very safe. Chi Ting Yun listened to her words, lost in thought, and simply said softly, That's true. When the time came, Yin Wan arrived at Backwater Forest on time and delivered the goods to the red-clothed ghost. In the gloomy forest, seeing her tremble, Chi Ting Yun asked coldly, afraid. Although Yin Wan was scared, she still put on a brave face. Since red-clothed sister asked me to come, she must have already instructed her subordinates. They won't hurt me, so what's there to be afraid of? Chi Ting Yun thought it made sense. Indeed, the red-clothed ghost can steal spirit stones without anyone noticing. Her magic power is definitely formidable. Dealing with a few minor ghosts is nothing to her. However, he recalled the scene of Yun Wan pinning the ghost to the ground and beating her, finding it increasingly unbelievable. That she could actually pin such a powerful ghost to the ground and beat her was truly hard to believe. While he was lost in thought, Yun Wan suddenly spoke, I think there's movement over there. The red-clothed ghost's eerie voice rang out, You're here. Let's begin then. Behind her were two other ghosts, also missing eyeballs. Yin Wan even thoughtfully instructed him on how to handle her customers. I'll be selling the goods, and you'll be in charge of collecting the money. If any female ghosts get handsy with you, just bear with it. Don't kill them. A ghost asked suspiciously, Are these eyeballs really usable? Chi Ting Yun replied casually, Would I sell you something that doesn't work? The ghost still wanted to cause trouble. What if they don't work? Chi Ting Yun didn't back down, coldly retorting, Looking for a fight, are you? So, do you want them or not? The ghost quickly understood the situation and hurriedly said, I'll take two. After sending the ghost away, Chi Ting Yun continued to shout, Next. A long line of ghosts queued up, waiting to receive their new eyeballs. Another lecherous ghost came over, completely captivated by his beauty. He just managed to utter, so handsome, before being ruthlessly kicked away. Get lost. Meanwhile, Yin Wan was still meticulously packaging eyeballs for her customers. After one ghost had their eyeballs installed, they excitedly held up a mirror to show off to a nearby ghost. Hey, look, we have good stuff now. The other ghost hesitated. Brother, I don't think this is right. Their actions were seen by other ghosts in the mirror, and the ghosts began to murmur amongst themselves. Cultivator, which sex disciple, is actually working for a demon? What a talent. Cultivator B, that spirit stone is the one our Wuji sect lost. Cultivator C, that demon behind them is the one we're supposed to catch. Cultivator D, have the Taoists found the location? Cultivator E, Hoshui Forest, Orange Creek. Suddenly, a ghost cried out in alarm. It's bad. Yuya is coming. Run. Hearing this name, the other ghosts were terrified, as if they had encountered something dreadful. They instantly vanished without a trace, leaving only the woman who had just received her new eyeballs, her face being repeatedly hit by puffs of smoke. In the blink of an eye, everyone had run away, leaving the scene silent and empty, with only the two of them remaining. Yinwan suddenly felt that the name Yuya sounded familiar. As she tried to recall information about this person, Chi Ting Yun scooped her up into his arms and commanded, Let's go. But before they could leave, something suddenly descended from the sky in front of them with a whoosh, so fast that it created a sonic boom. Footsteps echoed in the dim space. The person who appeared was Yuya, the direct disciple of the Kunlun Mountain sect leader. As soon as he appeared, he coldly said, Hand over all the filthy things. Yuya drew his sword and pointed it at them, his gaze sharp as a knife, as if he wanted to freeze the surrounding air. He threatened in a cold voice, Hand over all the filthy things in your possession. Yinwan tilted her head in confusion, as if she had heard an alien language. Hand them over. Hand over what? He remained expressionless and threw out another baffling sentence. Everything. Hearing this, Yinwan seemed to be greatly provoked. She immediately clutched her money bag tightly, glared at the villain in front of her, and shouted, I earned this money myself. Why should I give it all to you? Yuya declared righteously, in the six realms, only demons harm living beings. You, as disciples of the righteous path, not only do not eliminate demons, but you collude with them and show no remorse. But Yinwan wasn't buying it. She immediately said to the person beside her, I think he's just a petty thief taking advantage of the situation. Senior brother, let's do this. After she finished speaking, Chi Ting Yun didn't move. He stared at the sword in the other man's hand. The sword emitted a sinister and bloodthirsty aura. He recognized it. It was the legendary ancient divine sword, Chi Ying. The tip of the sword was sharp, the blade like fire. A single wisp of its sword energy could annihilate a demon's soul, leaving it unable to reincarnate forever. The power of the sword made him apprehensive, and he couldn't help but take a deep breath. Chi Ting Yun coldly said to Yuya, "I am Sui Yuan, Palace Master of Kangwu Palace, and an old acquaintance of your sect leader, Shuang Qing. According to seniority, you should call me Martial Uncle. I really don't want to argue with a junior like you, so why don't we just drop this matter?" When he revealed his identity as Sui Yuan, the air seemed to solidify, and all three of them stood motionless like statues. Yin Wan facepalmed internally. Who's Sui Yuan again? A natural-born sword cultivator, forming a golden core at birth, nascent soul at 100, deity transformation at 200, a peerless genius. Even those in the demonic path addressed Sui Yuan with respect. Chi Ting Yun was really putting on an act. Under these circumstances, Yuya didn't dare to act rashly. He needed confirmation. So he asked Chi Ting Yun, "If you're truly Sui Yuan, then you must possess a peerless divine sword. Draw it, and I'll believe you." As soon as he spoke, the three fell silent again, with only the sound of the wind blowing past, adding to the awkwardness. Yin Wan gently nudged Chi Ting Yun to show it to him. He casually replied, "I can't draw it." Yin Wan was also quite surprised, muttering to herself, "What does unable to pull it out even mean?" Just then, Yuya's disdainful voice rang out. "Ridiculous. Sui Yuan has been in seclusion for 100 years. Did you think you could impersonate him with just any fake sword? Since you're so stubborn, don't blame me for being impolite." He raised his sword, ready to strike. Yinwan suddenly remembered the plot, and her heart pounded with panic. "Oh no, I just remembered. Yuya is Sui Yuan's biggest fan. Chi Ting Yun has completely enraged him." Fearfully, she hid behind Chi Ting Yun, her voice trembling as she asked, "What do we do? How confident are you that you can beat him?" Chi Ting Yun replied casually, his tone resolute. 10 out of 10. Yinwan breathed a sigh of relief, thinking they had finally escaped disaster and she could keep her money. As expected, with an aura that could scare away even demonic beasts, how could this powerful figure easily admit defeat? But before she could rejoice, Chi Ting Yun's next words were like a bucket of cold water poured over her. 10 out of 10. "That I'll lose." Yin Wan's face darkened. Then what was with that confident tone just now? Using the most hardcore voice to say the most cowardly thing. She fell into deep thought, trying to recall the details of the plot. In the novel, Yuya's strength is on par with the male leads. He absolutely cannot be underestimated. I shouldn't have expected Xie Tingyun to win against him in a direct fight. As things stand, I can only. She remembered the jade pendant the demoness had given her. Yinwan suddenly shoved the jade pendant into Xie Tingyun's hand, startling him. This is something that can make people stronger. Take it. Even if you can't beat him, at least it can help us escape. Her voice choked with tears as she pleaded, "You don't really think he'll show mercy, do you?" Suddenly, a thick fog enveloped the entire forest. Seeing this, Yuya immediately became alert. The demoness' voice echoed through the forest. "Little cultivator, go quickly. My illusion can only last for the time it takes an incense stick to burn. If you don't leave now, it will be too late." Yin Wan took out a teleportation talisman and grabbed Xie Tingyun's hand tightly. "Let's go." The talisman turned into specks of light, and the thick fog gradually dispersed. Only the remnants of the talisman slowly fluttered down before Yuya. He said angrily, "They actually got away. Damn it." The talisman transported them to an extremely secluded cave. Yin Wan collapsed on the ground, letting out a long sigh of relief. Thanks to the demoness sister, we're finally safe. She turned to the person beside her. "Xie Tingyun, are you all right?" But his face was flushed, and he suddenly collapsed. Yin Wan cried out anxiously, "Xie Tingyun." His face was completely red, waves of heat surging through his body. So hot. Xie Tingyun's face grew redder and redder, sweat pouring down like rain. Yin Wan's concerned voice reached his ears. "Xie Tingyun, are you okay?" Xie Tingyun pulled open his collar, complaining in a low, pained voice, "Ugh, so hot." He sat down cross-legged and closed his eyes, circulating his energy. Yin Wan asked curiously, "Hey, do you feel like your cultivation has improved?" A sharp pain shot through him. Xie Tingyun glared at her. Who gave you the golden core? Yinwan looked innocent. That demonist sister gave it to me. He was speechless, his expression screaming, I can't take this anymore. At this moment, Yinwan finally realized, wait, that getting stronger couldn't be. Oh, so that golden core was the kind that makes men stronger, but not in the cultivation sense, but that kind of aphrodisiac. No wonder the demonist sister had that expression. She panicked. It's over. I've caused a huge disaster. She explained nervously, Chi Ting Yun, I thought it was something good for cultivation. That's why I gave it to you. He just sighed. It's fine, you can go out. Yinwan was still very worried, stammering, then what about you? Chi Ting Yun's voice was hoarse. Go out. Don't worry about me. Yinwan knew she couldn't help, so she reluctantly walked out of the cave and started a fire outside to ward off the cold. She thought to herself, even if I wanted to help him, this body has the Black Widow constitution. Even the slightest arousal will drain the other person's cultivation or even kill them. In the original story, the second female lead was later able to control it, but it didn't say how. I can only try my best to restrain myself. It should be fine. She turned around, silently making up her mind. Despite the tense situation, Yunwan walked back to the cave, thinking, I don't want him to suffer because of my mistake. Inside the cave, Chi Ting Yun was still trying to regulate his breathing, but the heat within his body surged even more fiercely. He desperately circulated his spiritual energy to suppress it, but it was of little use. He could only frown and endure the burning pain. So hot. The soft moonlight spilled into the cave. He trembled all over, his outer robe soaked with sweat, almost losing control. If it were before, he could easily expel the effects of the drug from his body, but now, he furrowed his brows as another wave of intense pain washed over him. Chi Ting Yun clutched his chest, fighting back the agony. His jaw clenched tight as a low groan escaped his lips. Suddenly, a gentle voice broke the silence. Chi Ting Yun. She approached him gracefully, her skirt swaying elegantly. She spoke shyly, how about, we help each other? Chi Ting Yun's jaw tightened at her words. He turned his head slightly, his voice low and firm. I don't want you to force yourself to save me. Don't. A worried expression flashed across Yunwan's face, her thoughts in turmoil. Things had reached this point, yet he still wanted to restrain himself. If he continued to suppress the effects of the drug, even if he survived, his cultivation would be damaged. She clenched her fists, taking a deep breath to compose herself. A look of determination flashed in her eyes. What should I do? I can only risk it. The cold moonlight bathed Chi Ting Yun, his face flushed from the drug's effects. His strong chest rose and fell dramatically, making him appear unusually alluring. Suddenly, she froze, for she saw. He suddenly clutched his chest, coughing violently, blood spraying from his mouth. The crimson stain highlighted a rare vulnerability. Yunwan's heart tightened, her entire body tense. Yunwan gasped, her heart pounding as if it would explode. She hesitated no longer. Releasing her hair, her smooth tresses cascaded down. She gently lifted her skirt and walked resolutely towards him. Yunwan carefully covered his eyes with a thin cloth. Chi Ting Yun, don't be afraid, she whispered softly. A moment later, he suddenly pulled her into his embrace, his arms strong and protective like the whole world. Her body pressed against his scorching breath brushing against her hair. He suddenly flipped her over, pinning her beneath him, his movements forceful yet surprisingly gentle. But a sudden surge of pain made him groan softly, his body stiffening. Yunwan reached out, gently caressing his cheek, her voice soft as a spring breeze. It's all right now. She leaned down, pressing a soft kiss on the cloth covering his eyes. I will save you. The concealing seal gradually dissipated, revealing Yunwan's true appearance. She constantly reminded herself to be careful, not to drain him dry. She gently placed her hand on his bare shoulder, her slender fingers slowly guiding the fusion of their spiritual energy. They seemed immersed in a world where only each other's breaths remained. But after a while, she still couldn't feel the flow of spiritual energy. Confusion filled her. Strange, why can't I feel his spiritual energy? Chi Ting Yun reached out, his hand landing on her slender waist, slowly pulling her down. The blindfold slipped, revealing one of his eyes. He spoke with difficulty. Yun, the spiritual energy. It's all been absorbed by the sword. Chi Ting Yun's voice was broken, his entire being lost in intense pleasure. Dawn broke, the air outside the cave fresh and clean. Inside, Yunwan gently wiped the sweat from Chi Ting Yun's brow. She thought dejectedly, I'm exhausted, and I didn't get anything out of it. Suddenly, he gripped her hand tightly. You're awake? She asked, startled. Chi Ting Yun sat up abruptly, embarrassed. I can do it myself. Yin Wan was also flustered, unsure of what to do. Then I'll do it myself. What do people usually say after this kind of thing? Chi Ting Yun thought wryly. I'm doomed. I have no experience with this either. Yin Wan decided to leave. I'll go find something to eat, she said, hurrying away, almost fleeing. Chi Ting Yun was left alone in the cave, hesitant. He was utterly speechless. Suddenly, the peerless sword moved towards him on its own. Chi Ting Yun was surprised. Strange, it's never been this close to me since my transformation failed. He silently sensed his golden core, astonished to discover my golden core. But it's restored. Chi Ting Yun decided to test it. He gripped the hilt, slowly drawing the sword, finally succeeding in unsheathing the peerless blade. Inside the cave, Chi Ting Yun sat in meditation. With his golden core restored, his thoughts drifted. I secluded myself for a month to prepare for my transformation. With my cultivation level, it should have gone smoothly. But I didn't withstand the last heavenly tribulation lightning. Not only did my golden core shatter, but I also lost all my cultivation. But now, I can feel a trace of true energy flowing. My shattered golden core has actually recovered. He gazed at the cloth Yin Wan had used to cover his eyes the previous night. Her identity last night had aroused his suspicions. This Yin Wan. Half an hour later, Chi Ting Yun continued his cultivation, suddenly hearing a rustling sound. Yin Wan returned with a steaming bowl of soup and said gently, Here, have some. Chi Ting Yun frowned, looking at the still steaming soup, and asked, What is this? She replied, I know you worked hard last night, so I went to find something to nourish you. For this bowl of hot soup, she had painstakingly hunted a deer early in the morning. Chi Ting Yun took the bowl she offered, thinking, I thought she was a delicate girl, but I didn't expect her to go hunting early in the morning to nourish me. Yin Wan impatiently urged him, Try it quickly. He took a sip, the taste of the soup slowly spreading across his tongue. The taste was too gamey and pungent, and Chi Ting Yun had to force himself to swallow. Yin Wan eagerly asked, How is it? He immediately asked her, What kind of soup is this? She replied directly, Deer. He thought he had misheard, deer. What? She picked up a stone and drew a deer on the ground, saying, It looks like this. Don't worry, I tested it with a fish first. It shouldn't be poisonous. Chi Ting Yun recognized the creature and asked her, This thing is called a filth beast. Its insides are all teeth, and its whole body only has one piece of soft flesh. Which part did you use to make the soup? Yin Wan smiled awkwardly and replied, The deer's tail. Seeing Chi Ting Yun's expression, she realized she had messed up again. Oh no, I did it wrong again. I should have caught a rabbit. Finally, she handed him a spirit stone and said, Forget it, take this. Seeing the spirit stone, Chi Ting Yun asked in confusion, Didn't you give your storage pouch to Yuya? How do you still have this? She replied, I prepared in advance and divided the spoils into 2 portions. Unfortunately, the situation was urgent. I didn't have time to divide them carefully. I only kept some high-value spirit stones, amulets, and spirit herbs. As for money, after listening to her explanation, Chi Ting Yun was silent for a moment, then picked up the bowl of soup and drank it all in one gulp. He said to Yin Wan, Keep the spirit stone for yourself. Chi Ting Yun didn't want her to use a spirit stone to replenish herself. Seeing his handsome face approach, Yin Wan shyly turned to run. I'll go. But Chi Ting Yun grabbed her wrist and asked with concern, Were you injured while hunting? Where are you going? She asked him in confusion. Injured? No, I took down that deer with one move. Chi Ting Yun pointed directly at a spot on her body. The girl was covered in red marks and inexplicable bruises, and her walk was stiff and awkward. Only then did she explain, embarrassed, that these weren't from hunting, but clearly from last night. Chi Ting Yun's usual composure completely crumbled, a blush creeping up his cheeks. Chi Ting Yun cleared his throat, trying to hide his embarrassment. Yin Wan was a little dejected. This spirit stone can be exchanged for a lot of money. It's a waste on me. If you don't use it, I'll leave it here. Chi Ting Yun said, Don't you want to go to Kunlun Mountain? To join the Kunlun sect. The Kunlun rules are extremely strict. Even outer disciples must be at the Chi refining stage. With your current abilities, you can barely pass the first round. You should focus on improving your cultivation first. She thought he made sense. So she simply sat down and began to cultivate spiritual energy flowing from her golden core. Suddenly, with a poof sound, Yin Wan froze, stammering, I think I farted. She screamed internally. Heavens, the original story only said, dual cultivation would cause leakage. It didn't say eating spirit stones would make you fart. This isn't scientific, but she still had to rely on Chi Ting Yun. He placed his hand over hers, their hands clasped together. Don't move. I'll help you guide your spiritual energy. Yun shyly agreed, her eyes glancing at their clasped hands. Oh, okay. She thought to herself that Chi Ting Yun's hand was even bigger than hers. As Chi Ting Yun helped her cultivate, Yun continued to fart softly. One was embarrassed, the other even more so, the scene almost spiraling out of control. Chi Ting Yun secretly observed Yun. Last night, I already felt her physique was different from ordinary people. Sigh, how useless. A sliver of true energy from a transformation stage cultivator is equivalent to 100 years of arduous cultivation, let alone someone with a pure yang body like me. Do you believe in fate? She confidently replied, I don't. He continued, that's good. If you want to improve, the first step is chi refining. Do you remember how you defeated that fire charm a few days ago? Yun blankly raised her fist. With my fist, of course. Chi Ting Yun explained, the fire charm isn't an ordinary person. Do you really think your little bit of strength could hurt her? At the time, I thought you were very angry. Yun anxiously waited for him to continue. What do you mean? She asked doubtfully, and Chi Ting Yun nodded in confirmation. Everyone else draws spiritual energy into their own bodies, but you can introduce it into the bodies of others. Spiritual energy merges with the physical form, so no one can get close to another's body. Yun continued, so you're saying body cultivation is also a method of cultivation? Chi Ting Yun casually replied, why not? If the heavenly Tao won't let you ascend, then just punch a hole through the immortal gate and see who dares to stop you. Yun looked down at her hands, thinking, this body, although its constitution is average, is perfect for those cultivators to use as a cauldron to restore their peak strength. But from another perspective, it's actually quite suitable for becoming a boxing champion. It seems I'll have to return to my old profession. She rummaged through her bag and declared resolutely, all right, since we've decided on the path of body cultivation, I have to do two things immediately. First, train my body and improve my cultivation. She pulled out the spirit mirror, beaming. Second, make a fortune. Excitedly, she explained her money-making plan to Chi Ting Yun. I've analyzed it, and it's actually quite simple for these cultivators to earn money. Ordinary cultivators mine spirit stones. Alchemists refine the spirit stones into spirit stone chunks, and then sell them to the small sword sect. Mining is definitely not for us. We can only utilize the spirit mirror. I also discovered that the tasks on the spirit mirror are quite scattered and not controlled by any particular sect. For example, killing a Cheong Mountain demonic beast rewards 100 high-grade spirit stones, and retrieving the beast's inner core after the task is issued rewards another 50. This way, we can earn 50 stones without doing anything, simply by earning the price difference. Yun was still immersed in her daydream. I've already accepted 15 tasks and dispatched 5 people. The next one. But Chi Ting Yun coldly poured a bucket of water over her. Any cultivator with a bit of sense wouldn't accept such low-paying tasks. It simply won't work. He said indifferently, if you need spirit stones, I'll just go dig some at Spirit Mountain tomorrow. But Yun confidently winked at Chi Ting Yun. Just wait and see if it works or not. Chi Ting Yun finally sighed helplessly, giving in to her stubbornness. He thought to himself, instead of taking the side door, it's better to just break the door down. If it really doesn't work, I'll just put more effort into the spirit mirror. It's better than doing nothing. Several hours passed, and it was still just the two of them. Chi Ting Yun thought, it's getting late. He stood up, somewhat irritated. Yun turned and asked, where are you going? He replied, to do the tasks. If no one accepts them, we'll have to pay double, and we don't have that much money. But Yun was still full of confidence, pulling on him and pleading, oh, just wait a little longer. Just then, the leaves rustled. Yun pointed excitedly at the sky. See? The first down payment has arrived. I told you this method would work. At that moment, someone rushed towards them from behind. A handsome young man ran over and asked excitedly, are there tasks here? Yun replied enthusiastically, yes, they're mine. Chi Ting Yun, standing behind her, was also surprised that someone actually came. The man held up his spirit mirror and asked, the first down payment is in spirit stones, right? Is that how it works? She replied, yes, that's right. She took out a small spirit stone and explained, this is a low-grade spirit stone. It could be used as an accessory. The man's eyes lit up, and he said excitedly, I'll take it. I'll take it. As long as I accept the task, this is mine, right? But Yun didn't rush to give it to him. Afraid he might change his mind. You can accept the task, but it's against the rules to give you anything now. I'll only give you the first down payment after you complete 5 tasks. You're only taking one now. That won't do. I have many tasks, all of the same type. The more you take, the more spirit stones I'll give you after completion, 30 extra. If you're fast, I'll even reward you with an extra crystal stone. He quickly patted his chest and guaranteed, I'll take them. I'll take them. Give them all to me. Seeing the fish take the bait, Yin smiled and held up the glazed mirror. All for you, they're all here. The man, who had just arrived and haggled, left like a gust of wind, leaving only his voice echoing. I'll get right on it. I guarantee it'll be done before dawn. Yin was thrilled with the success of her first deal, while Chi Ting Yun felt a pang of regret. I should have taken some too. Now I won't have to suffer all the way to that mountain. 7 whole days passed. Yin turned to him and asked what's wrong. Want to learn my money-making method? Chi Ting Yun still pretended to be aloof. Tell me if you want to. She didn't mind his attitude. You're so awkward, tough on the outside but soft on the inside. She leaned closer and whispered, I've observed that most of the sword cultivators on the glazed mirror accept orders. Ordinary wealthy cultivators naturally wouldn't look at small profits like mine. But sword cultivators are different. They're just trying to make a living, and since they're short on money, they take any job they can get. Even small profits add up to a considerable amount. Chi Ting Yun immediately looked back at her and hurriedly said, That's not me. Yin simply replied with an O, clearly not believing him at all. He tried to explain further. I'm very rich. Why get back? Yin helplessly covered his mouth, stopping him from continuing. All right, I know you're Su Yuan, the palace master of Kangwu Palace. Don't say any more. Chi Ting Yun felt her soft fingers lightly touch his lips, and his cheeks flushed red again. Suddenly being stared at, Yin felt a little awkward too. Both of them turned their heads away in embarrassment. Chi Ting Yun pretended to wipe his long sword, while Yin pretended to calculate her earnings. Let me see how much more I can earn. Chi Ting Yun glanced at Yin sitting beside him. She was absent-mindedly fiddling with a dry twig. He didn't know what Yin was thinking, but her appearance made him stare in a daze. At dusk, the man returned on his sword and reported to them, I'm back. The task is complete. Yin handed him a money pouch and asked, May I ask your name? I might have more tasks for you in the future. He replied with a smile, This humble one is Li Xuanyo. If you have any requests, Miss, please don't hesitate to ask. Hearing this name, she suddenly felt it was familiar. Li Xuanyo. Why does that sound so familiar? Seeing him about to leave, she grabbed his sleeve and asked, Wait, have you eaten? Li Xuanyo said a little embarrassedly, Don't laugh at me, miss, but I haven't eaten in 3 days. Seeing this, Yin pulled him to sit in front of the fragrant roasted chicken. Quick, sit down and eat something before you go. Thanks. Chi Ting Yun saw her change in attitude and wondered, What are you up to now? She happily handed the lowly mirror to Chi Ting Yun. Look, there's a task in the mirror, the very one your junior brother Li Xuanyo has been looking for. I saw it. The reward is 50 spirit stones. His expression darkened, and he was shocked. She's even willing to sell a whole person at that. Yin leaned closer to Li Xuanyo and started speaking sweetly. Taoist, I'm going to Shiyin City tomorrow, and the road isn't very safe. I just happen to need a guard. Since we're fated to meet, why don't you take this job? The payment. Li Xuanyo's eyes lit up when he heard about the payment, but he still pretended to be calm. No need. Actually, I was planning to go to Shiyin City anyway. It's on my way. No need for payment. I'll definitely escort you there safely. Seeing him take the bait, she said happily, Then I'll give you another fish. She thought to herself with glee, Got him. Yin went to the river to catch fish. While she was away, Chi Ting Yun advised Li Xuanyo, I suggest you give up. Li Xuanyo was curious. Why do you say that, Taoist? Chi Ting Yun closed his eyes and sighed with a profound air. Some things are not meant to be forced. Li Xuanyo still didn't quite understand. You're not afraid I'll steal your business, are you? Surely not. He feigned disappointment. I thought we were both sword cultivators, sharing a similar mindset. I didn't expect our sword hearts to be so different. I overestimated us. The next morning, they prepared to depart, and Li Xuanyo summoned his flying sword. He offered Yin a ride. Miss, come aboard. I'll take you. Yin immediately agreed. All right. But before she could get on, she was pulled back by the person behind her. Chi Ting Yun glared coldly at Li Xuanyo, his tone icy. No need. My sword can carry people too. The Supreme Fortune Sword was already hovering at their feet. Li Xuanyo stared blankly as the two stood on the imposing sword. Yun Wan, held in Chi Ting Yun's arms, was filled with excitement. Suddenly, the Supreme Fortune's sword shuddered, seemingly refusing to carry both of them, and flew away. Chi Ting Yun landed heavily, glanced at Li Xuanyo, and asked shamelessly, "Can your sword carry 3 people?" Both of them were stunned by his words, feeling that they had never seen Chi Ting Yun act so shamelessly in their lives. Li Xuanyo said awkwardly, "My sword can only carry 2 people." Chi Ting Yun immediately solved the problem for him. He squatted down, patted his shoulder, and said to Yun Wan, "Hop on." Yun Wan hadn't reacted yet. Who's hopping on? Why? In the end, she resigned herself to climbing onto his shoulder. Chi Ting Yun then explained to Li Xuanyo, "We'll use a body lightning talisman. I promise we won't break your sword." Li Xuanyo was still a bit confused. Seeing this, Yun Wan exclaimed dramatically, "Can't your sword make me lighter?" Li Xuanyo sighed awkwardly. I don't have that kind of skill yet." They flew on their swords, the light from the blades streaking past towering mountains as the wind whistled in their ears. Another pair, a man and a woman, flew alongside them on their own swords. The woman couldn't help but tease, "Senior brother, they look so romantic. I want to sit on your shoulders too." The man replied in a mature tone, "That sword looks like it's about to break. Junior sister, don't follow their example." Yun Wan was suffering in silence, clinging desperately to Chi Ting Yun's hair bun. She couldn't help but mutter, "Romantic my foot, my bones are about to fall apart." Unable to bear any longer, she cried out, "Stop, stop, stop. I can't take it anymore. Let's land." The 3 finally landed, and Yun Wan could finally catch her breath. She turned to Chi Ting Yun and said, "Why don't you try sitting on my shoulders?" She even squatted down and patted her shoulder. "Come on, hop on." Li Xuanyo had never met a girl like Yun Wan. He was completely stunned, thinking that this was the first time he had seen such a scene. Chi Ting Yun was speechless. In the end, Chi Ting Yun agreed to sit on Yun Wan's shoulders, and the 3 of them took to the skies again on their swords. Another swordsman, seeing them, couldn't help but exclaim, "Wow, impressive." Mortified, Chi Ting Yun quickly cast a talisman to try and regain some face. Li Xuanyo escorted them to the gates of Yun City. Before leaving, he solemnly warned, "Yun City is mostly merchants. Be careful, don't get swindled." He said reluctantly, "We'll part ways here. May we meet again someday." Just then, someone called out to him from behind. Li Xuanyo. He was dragged away by the person. "Kid, I finally caught you. I'm taking you back to the sect." Li Xuanyo, still unaware that he'd been sold out, said a sincere goodbye. "Have a safe journey, Mississippi. Thank you for your care. Xuanyo will never forget you." Seeing his naivete, Chi Ting Yun muttered helplessly, "He's been sold, and he's still helping them make money." Meanwhile, at a secret exchange, a mysterious figure appeared. The shopkeeper opened a box, revealing a severed finger wearing a gold ring. The shopkeeper handed the box to the figure. As the exchange took place, Yun Wan and Chi Ting Yun passed by. Chi Ting Yun suddenly whispered to her, "Hold my hand." He warned her alertly, "Someone is following us." Seeing that she was only lightly holding his sleeve, he reminded her again, "Your hand." Yun Wan slowly reached out and touched his palm. She hesitated, but Chi Ting Yun firmly grasped her soft hand. Hand in hand, they carefully walked through the night. Just then, Yun Wan's stomach suddenly rumbled, embarrassing her. Chi Ting Yun casually said, "Let's go eat first." They stopped at a restaurant. Clutching her stomach, Yun Wan complained impatiently, "Why isn't the food here yet?" At that moment, someone slowly approached their table. It was a handsome young man with a jade-like face. He looked at Yun Wan and asked, "Are you new here?" Yun Wan sized him up. This young man has an extraordinary air about him, but this fiendish cloud city is rampant with demons and chaos. Yet he's completely unharmed. There must be something strange about him. She replied coldly, "We came here with our older brother. We're tired, so we're resting here. Is there something you need?" The man smiled mysteriously. "You don't know, miss, but this tavern is unclean. The owner colludes with demons, specializing in capturing young men and women like yourselves to offer to the demons for refining pills." Killing intent radiated from Chi Ting Yun, spiritual energy surging in his hand, ready to strike at any moment. Yun Wan, however, gently pressed his hand down. Chi Ting Yun wondered what she was planning. Yinwan feigned surprise. Really? Thank you for the warning, young master. We're dirt poor, so we really don't know about these things. The man began to tempt them. I know a good place. Why don't you come with me? Yinwan smiled brightly. All right. On the way, the man asked about their origins. Where are you from? Yinwan replied, Orange Creek. We were originally planning to go to Kunlun to become disciples. He turned and asked with interest, just the two of you? Yinwan pointed to the side and my cousin. We agreed to meet here. He's in a tavern on that street over there. If you don't mind, young master, please come with me, and then we can travel together. The man was secretly delighted. Today I can catch 3 people, and they're rare cultivators too. Selling them to the demon cultivators will earn me 3 months' worth of money. Chi Ting Yun had no idea what Yinwan was up to and could only play along. He thought to himself, Fiendish Cloud City is overrun with demons. It would be great if I encountered a powerful demon, but I've already bribed them with 3 spirit stones, so they shouldn't give me any trouble, right? Yinwan led him to a place and said, Here we are. She pointed to the 2 tall, burly guards at the entrance and said, My cousin is inside. Please wait here with my brother, young master. With that, she pulled the still bewildered Chi Ting Yun away. Chi Ting Yun looked at her reluctantly and said coldly, Brother, I can go in myself. You just wait for me here. Seeing her say this, the young master pouted and took a few steps back. She walked up to the 2 men, her small figure almost swallowed by their shadows. She looked directly at them and asked coldly, What do you want? The 2 men exchanged glances, communicating silently. The bald man said to Yinwan, Come with me. She thought to herself, just as I suspected, these are the human traffickers from Chi Yun City. I just randomly picked a place and stumbled upon their den. Like I go with you. Hiding behind the door, the bald man asked Yinwan, Which one? She pointed and said, The one on the right. The bald man asked again, not selling the other one. I think he's not bad either. Some demonic cultivators would definitely like him. She sighed dramatically and explained, That's my brother. He's not right in the head. You wouldn't be able to sell him. The other man started to haggle. Silver tails or spirit stones? She replied, Spirit stones, of course. He initially offered 300, but Yinwan refused. I traveled 1,000 miles to get here, and you're only offering 300. Do you think I'm a fool? The final price was settled at 600. Deal, she said. You wait here. I'll go get him. The man saw her come out and immediately asked, Where's your cousin? She put on a distressed expression. My cousin broke something in the shop, and they won't let him leave. He has to pay for the damages. The man asked, How much does he have to pay? Yinwan continued to cry. They were expensive porcelain pieces. It'll cost 500 taels to get him released. The sucker actually took out the money and said, Let's go. Let's go get your cousin. Yinwan pretended to hesitate. This isn't right. The other man feigned generosity. Seeing how pitiful you are, what's wrong with it? Take it. She continued her act, but I'm scared to go alone. Can you accompany me upstairs to get my cousin? I'll pay with the silver. The man agreed without hesitation. Sure, leave it to me. With that, he rushed into the trafficker's den without looking back and never came out. Screams immediately erupted from inside. Yinwan knew the time had come and prepared to make her escape. Without explaining anything, Yinwan grabbed the still bewildered Chi Ting Yun and ran. She told him, I sold him. These people probably have powerful backing and might come after us. Let's run before they react. Chi Ting Yun looked confused. Weren't we the ones about to be sold? How did it end up the other way around? Just then, an arrow whistled towards them, aimed for their lives. Chi Ting Yun, alert, glanced at the arrow and pulled her into his arms, nimbly dodging as the arrow flew past. A strange purple aura wreathed the arrow. Chi Ting Yun recognized it at once as a poisoned arrow. Yinwan was still shaken. If Chi Ting Yun hadn't reacted so quickly, I'd be a pool of blood by now. Before she could recover, a group of mysterious figures with large wings on their backs descended from the sky. Their arrows were aimed at Chi Ting Yun once more, ready to strike again. Each arrow whistled down like a meteor shower. Chi Ting Yun quickly scooped up Yinwan and dodged. Yinwan grumbled inwardly. These bird people are so annoying, shooting arrows all over the place. Why don't they just teleport me directly and save me the trouble of running around like a delivery service? She suddenly noticed the figures of the winged people. Her eyes lit up, and she looked up at Chi Ting Yun. What race are they? He replied, half demons. Half-demons are the most discriminated against mixed bloods. They work for cheap, obedient as long as they're fed. Hearing this, she said excitedly, "Brother, can we talk?" Although half-demons have a bad background, as long as their master isn't dead, they're completely loyal. Then do something for me. Help me kill their master, Yun Wan asked Chi Ting Yun. Seeing that he didn't answer, she continued on her own. Silence means consent. You're the best, Chi Ting Yun. Chi Ting Yun remained silent, enduring patiently. The two of them obediently allowed the half-demons to tie them up and were taken back to their lair. Yun Wan entered the cave and was surprised to see wriggling masses of tightly wound cocoons. Seeing her start to tremble, Chi Ting Yun asked, "You still dare to earn this money?" She greedily replied, "Yes." She whispered, "Can you draw your sword?" He answered, "I'm not sure." She asked again, "Can you fight?" He still replied, "I'm not sure." She became extremely annoyed. "You're not sure about this. You're not sure about that. So what exactly did you agree to before?" Chi Ting Yun simply feigned ignorance. I didn't agree to anything." But Yun Wan was still Yun Wan, a clever and resourceful young woman. Unable to rely on others, she still had her own way out. It seems that the great demon is most likely a butterfly spirit. Butterflies are afraid of fire. I can burn wood, and this place is dark and damp with a pile of talismans. Starting a fire wouldn't be a problem at all. Suddenly, a strange fragrance drifted over. She inadvertently inhaled it, and her whole body went limp, her heart racing. "Oh no, my constitution reacts to this kind of scent." Chi Ting Yun noticed her unusual state, and seeing her heavy panting behind him, immediately understood what was happening. He quickly set up a barrier, isolating the strange fragrance. Yun Wan weakly leaned on his shoulder. Chi Ting Yun gave her a meaningful look. Finally, the half-demon led them into a strikingly decorated room. All the curtains were red. "We're here. Go in." The strange fragrance was emanating from the bed inside. Yun Wan secretly observed Chi Ting Yun's reaction, seeing him still calmly surveying the surroundings. A slender hand reached out from behind the curtains, beckoning. "Come here." Seeing him walk in without hesitation, Yun Wan couldn't help but try to stop him. "I brought you here to slay demons, not to sell yourself." He gently patted her hand, comforting her. "It's fine." But the woman's cold voice came from within the curtains. "He'll let you in. I want that girl." Pointing at herself, Yun Wan asked in shock me. The woman replied, "Men are boring. Want to try a woman? Come here. Don't make me say it again." Yun Wan hesitated. If it were before, she would definitely have said, "Beautiful lady, I'm willing." But now, before she could react, red silk threads wrapped around her waist. She was pulled towards the woman by some mysterious force. Yun Wan could only cry out in surprise as she was dragged inside the curtains, which swayed ambiguously. Gazing at the woman's beauty, Yun Wan murmured dazedly, "Sister, you're so beautiful." Her eyes were hazy, but the woman showed no interest in Yun Wan, saying coldly, "Your looks don't suit my taste." Red threads wrapped around Yun Wan's entire body, suspending her in midair like a puppet. At this critical moment, his sword reacted, surrounded by sword energy. Chi Ting Yun lifted the curtains with his sword, looking coldly at the woman. "What about me?" Just then, Yun Wan's scream pierced the previously ambiguous atmosphere. She slowly regained her senses and looked back to see Chi Ting Yun holding his sword, facing the demon, which had revealed its true form. Seeing her awake, he asked coldly, "Do you still think she's beautiful?" Yun Wan panicked inwardly, thinking, "I was being controlled just now. It wasn't my own decision at all, this jealous man." She quickly waved her hands. "Not beautiful, not beautiful. You're the most beautiful." Chi Ting Yun retrieved a demon core from the demon's body and handed the small, pink, round core to her. "Eat it." Yun Wan covered her mouth in disgust, refusing. "No, it doesn't even look good." Chi Ting Yun said, "It can improve your cultivation." She asked him, "Aren't you going to eat it?" He frowned. "Ugly. Nothing special." She held the demon core, hesitantly asking, "Are there any side effects?" Others absorb spiritual energy to improve their cultivation, but your constitution isn't suitable for that. The fastest way for you to break through is to swallow the inner core of a demon beast or demon. Eat it. Finally, Yun Wan resignedly put the demon core slowly into her mouth. Seeing her still uncomfortable, Chi Ting Yun quickly asked, "How do you feel?" At this moment, a hot current surged through Yun Wan's body. Her cheeks flushed with an unnatural blush, and desire surged. She grabbed Chi Ting Yun's collar. He froze, confused. Suddenly, her lips gently pressed against his. The unexpected action left his mind blank. When their lips met again, the memories of that night flooded into Chi Ting Yun's mind. He went from passive to active, tightly wrapping his arms around her waist and lifting her up. Chi Ting Yun could no longer restrain himself, holding her close and kissing her deeply. After their lips parted, a strange blush appeared on both their faces, their expressions dazed. Yunwan immediately pushed Chi Ting Yun onto the bed. She straddled him, her breathing rapid, her voice soft and filled with a moan. I feel so strange. Just as she leaned down again, Chi Ting Yun finally caught her, forcing himself to say, I can't. Yunwan held him down, preventing him from struggling. You could last time, why can't you this time? Finally, Chi Ting Yun tightly gripped her hands. He flipped her over, pinning her beneath him, taking control. He slowly lowered his head. They kissed passionately, as if the entire space had solidified, leaving only the warmth of their intertwined bodies. When he pulled away from Yunwan's lips, her expression became more pained, her cheeks even more flushed. He patiently explained to Yunwan, the spider demon is dead, and the array she set up here will soon lose its effect. Besides, this is the mother spider demon's bed. We can't stay here long. But Yunwan was insistent, pulling his face back down. Chi Ting Yun immediately took her hand again, looked at her affectionately, kissed her hand gently, and said, next time you feel uncomfortable, I definitely won't hold back, okay? As his spiritual power gradually took effect, Yunwan regained her senses. Ashamed and unable to accept her previous actions, she pushed him away without saying a word. She said with displeasure, you're dreaming. There won't be a next time. Everything that had just happened made Yunwan feel extremely embarrassed. She glanced at him only to see Chi Ting Yun covered in compromising marks, from the kiss marks on his neck to the accidental scratches. Her heart skipped a beat. Oh no, it seemed she had done quite a few embarrassing things. Watching him meticulously straighten his clothes beside her, Yunwan asked, don't you need to pay for this? He replied coldly, no. She decided to push her luck, not this time, and not next time either. The same reply came, no. Hearing his answer, she laughed happily. Great. She thought to herself, last time was a special circumstance, and this time I was basically forced. I won't be threatened just for kissing him. But if there's a next time, that's my hard-earned sheep body. Then she turned and pointed at him. There's one more thing. This is also your responsibility. You said it would be fine. If we're really going to settle accounts, it's on you. Chi Ting Yun explained, it's your first time absorbing a demon core. Your body couldn't handle the spiritual power. That's why that happened. It won't happen again. Yunwan assessed herself and asked, besides what just happened, is there anything else wrong with me now? Did I eat a fake demon core? Chi Ting Yun instructed her step by step. Okay, close your eyes. Now circulate your spiritual power. Yes, just like that. The spiritual power flowing within her changed from gold to pink, and its circulation became noticeably smoother and more stable. She said to him happily, wow, after cultivating, my spiritual power feels much purer. My body is more agile and lighter, and I can sense the surrounding spiritual energy of heaven and earth more clearly. But her face fell. But why, after cultivating for so long, am I still just a little Chi refinement cultivator? Seeing her discouragement, Chi Ting Yun could only comfort her. Everyone is different. Don't be disheartened. Faint sounds came from outside. Chi Ting Yun reminded Yunwan, we should leave this dried silk cave. The illusion won't last much longer. But Yunwan, never want to take a loss, said, wait, how can we just leave like this? We came here to make a haul. Wouldn't this trip be for nothing if we don't take something back? Finally, they managed to dig out a chest of the spider demon's treasures and jewels. She immediately nudged the man behind her with her elbow. Don't just stand there, carry it. But Chi Ting Yun's attention was elsewhere entirely. Sensing danger, he didn't give Yunwan another chance to collect treasures and urgently pulled her along. We have to leave immediately. Yunwan still called out reluctantly, my treasures. Just then, she faintly heard someone calling for help. Help. Is anyone there? Help me. Yunwan immediately said to Chi Ting Yun, wait. She pressed her ear against the cave wall and listened carefully. A voice continuously came from within. Mother, I want to go home. Father, come save me. With a grave expression, she turned to Chi Ting Yun and said, this spider demon actually locked so many people down at the bottom. The wall in front of them suddenly cracked open, the culprit being Yunwan's incredibly powerful fists. She looked at her handiwork with satisfaction and turned to Chi Ting Yun. Let's go quickly. As you can see, this place is about to collapse at any moment. In the Spider Demon's dungeon, countless wooden cages held prisoners. Everyone cried out for help upon seeing them. Sister, save us. I want to go home. Yuan discovered that most of those imprisoned were children. Chi Ting Yun had already begun releasing his spiritual power to unlock the chains binding the children. The two rescued countless children and led them to the cave entrance. Don't push, line up, and I'll take you out. Suddenly, a little girl tugged on her hand and said, Sister, wait. Yinwan asked, what's wrong? The little girl sobbed, to save us. A big brother with a sword was captured. He's at the very back. Sister, can you save him too? If it weren't for us, he wouldn't have been captured by the demon. Yinwan handed the little girl to Chi Ting Yun. I'll go save him. You take the children and leave here first. My skills are inferior to yours. If something happens along the way, I won't be able to protect them. Take them out first, then come back for me. Chi Ting Yun, however, was worried about leaving her alone. He frowned slightly and didn't immediately agree. Just then, a cultivator rushed over and offered to help. How about I take the children out? I'm a disciple of the Jingyue sect. Yinwan looked him over, thinking the Jingyue sect has fallen to such a state. The man explained, it was my poor planning that led us into the demon's trap. I'll take the children out. I hope the two Taoists can save my senior brother. Yinwan waved her hand. All right, we'll save him. The Jingyue sect disciple thanked them gratefully. The two of them proceeded deeper into the dungeon. The surrounding space gradually became dark and silent. Before them was a man bound by thick iron chains. His limbs were tightly restrained, and his body was covered in wounds of varying depths. Looking at the wounds, Yinwan thought, the spider demon seems to care a lot about this person, but at this rate, he might not last the night. Chi Ting Yun released his spiritual power again, helping the man break free from the chains bit by bit. As the chains snapped one by one, the man's body collapsed weakly onto the ground. His hand twitched slightly. Yinwan cried out in surprise. He's still alive. Chi Ting Yun frowned. He was about to reach out to help, but Yinwan refused his assistance. She supported the man herself, saying firmly, I'll handle the heavy lifting. Chi Ting Yun didn't say anything. He quickly set up a simple formation. In the blink of an eye, the formation was complete, and the three of them stood at its center. Yinwan froze, supporting the man. Chi Ting Yun was clearly unhappy with her proximity to another man. The entire cave suddenly collapsed. The formation transported the three of them to the surface. The children cheered, we're out. Seeing his senior brother rescued, the Jingyue sect disciple shouted excitedly, senior brother. Chi Ting Yun was about to drape his outer robe over Yinwan, but she suddenly froze, looking into the distance. A flock of skybirds landed before them, their presence imposing. Seeing them, Yinwan immediately switched into capitalist mode, smiling. Hey, want to work with me? Room and board included, 9 hours a day, 1 day off a month. Before they could answer, she muttered to herself with a dejected look, never mind, you're probably not interested. Unexpectedly, all the skybirds called out in unison, master, as if instantly confirming their allegiance. They became Yunwan's spiritual beasts. She hadn't expected them to be so decisive, without even a moment's hesitation. She stared at them, thinking seriously just like that, not even a struggle. She had completely proven Chi Ting Yun's previous point. These half-demon, half-beast creatures had neither the minds of humans nor the cunning of demons. They only craved acceptance. Whoever gave them a sense of belonging, they would follow wholeheartedly. To subdue them, one had to treat them sincerely. Half-demons were slow to react and were often tricked and ridiculed. Once they acknowledged a master, they would trust them unconditionally, even if it meant being abused or even giving their lives for their master. Yinwan had just cut their vacation time down to almost nothing, so she finally conceded. All right, 2 days off a month then. Chi Ting Yun poked her forehead with a smile. As long as you're happy, just don't do anything bad. She named the first skybird Big Yellow. From now on, your name is Big Yellow. Quickly take your brothers and send these children home, back to where you captured them. Suddenly, the Jingyue sect disciple protested loudly. I disagree. They captured these children and injured my senior brother and me. How can they be so easily forgiven? Besides, their loyal master is dead, so they shouldn't live either. Yinwan stepped forward to defend the skybirds, retorting, wait a minute, who told them to capture the children? Who told them to hurt you? He blurted out, the spider demon. Yinwan immediately hammered the point home. Right, and we killed the spider demon. We saved you, these children, and your senior brother. What are you still angry about? She asked. What is the Jingyun sect's motto? He recited as if from a textbook, "Do good deeds, speak no falsehoods, protect the world's peace, and safeguard the people's well-being." Yun Wan continued to guide him, so persuading half-demons to turn over a new leaf is also doing good, right? I'm persuading them to redeem themselves by sending the children home. You still want to exterminate them. Is killing to stop killing a Jingyun sect tradition? Or do you discriminate against species, thinking that half-demons are filthy? He retorted indignantly, "Our Jingyun sect embraces all things. Of course, we don't discriminate against species." Finally, he compromised. "Fine, I won't kill them, but I must personally escort these children back." And he pointed at Chi Ting Yun. "You have to come with me too." Chi Ting Yun looked extremely reluctant, so Yunwan gave him a pitiful look and softly pleaded, "Please." Only then did he reluctantly agree. Before leaving, Jingyun Zun added, "My junior sister will send someone over soon. Please take care of my senior brother. I am truly grateful." Yunwan replied awkwardly, "That depends on whether your demon friend can return safely. Otherwise." After the noisy group left, only the heavily injured man remained. She sighed, turned to look at him, her face filled with frustration. Yunwan used a twig to brush the hair away from his forehead, thinking it shouldn't hurt to take a peek. But when she saw his features clearly, she froze. It was Chu Lin. Why was it him again? What terrible luck. Yunwan immediately recoiled, avoiding him like the plague. She remembered the little girl's plea. If it weren't for us, that big brother wouldn't have been captured. Yunwan was still hesitant. Chu Lin was known for his righteousness. He was a good person. If she did nothing, he would surely bleed to death. But what did that have to do with her? In the original story, he was the one who personally threw the original Yun Wan to the corpse puppets. Fine, maybe he didn't like her, but to let her die so tragically, she still couldn't swallow that resentment. She decided to stand by and not provoke the male lead of the original story. But Chu Lin's condition was truly terrible. He was coughing up blood nonstop. Yunwan struggled internally, cursing in her heart. "Fine, I'll save him." She muttered to herself, "Forget it. If he really dies, it's none of my business. But if Jingyun Zun comes looking for trouble, that would be a headache. These people from large sects are unreasonable. Besides, saving him would be like patching a hole for Jingyun Zun." Yunwan took out her handkerchief and started wiping the blood from Chu Lin's face, her movements anything but gentle. The pain woke Chu Lin, and cold sweat beaded on his forehead. He abruptly grabbed her wrist, stopping her rough movements. The sudden change stunned Yunwan, leaving her unsure of what to do. Despite his severe injuries, Chu Lin overpowered her, pinning her down. His hand tightened around her neck as he stared coldly, his eyes full of suspicion. He demanded, "Who are you?" His blood dripped onto Yunwan's face. Yunwan responded impatiently, "It's me." Just then, Chi Ting Yun returned and struck Chu Lin's wrist with a palm strike of spiritual energy. Chu Lin was thrown back, and Yunwan, freed from his grip, clutched her chest and let out a long breath. Jingyun Zun immediately cried out anxiously, "Senior brother." Chi Ting Yun quickly helped Yunwan up, asking with concern, "Are you all right? Can you stand?" Jingyun Zun, completely oblivious to the fact that his precious senior brother had just attacked his savior, angrily questioned, "Fellow Taoist, what do you mean by this? Why did you injure my senior brother for no reason?" Chi Ting Yun pulled Yunwan into his arms and coldly replied to Jingyun Zun, "I won't act unless provoked." Yunwan asked with concern, "Were the children safely returned?" He simply hummed in acknowledgement, then gave her a sarcastic look. "You're truly kind-hearted, saving everyone you see." Yunwan was speechless. That's someone from the Jingwe sect. What if he died here and they blamed us? Chi Ting Yun, with a jaded expression, said indifferently, "The Jingwe sect has plenty of money." Yunwan retorted softly, "Oh, going dark side are we?" He simply replied, "One takes on the color of one's company." She immediately exclaimed dramatically, "Oh, I'm dizzy. Why won't you even hold my hand?" Chu Lin and his junior brother watched this little couple's affectionate display, the scene turning incredibly awkward. Yunwan continued to act with Chi Ting Yun, appearing worried and dependent, while he looked impatient, as if he owed her something. She whispered, "When your junior sister arrives, don't cause them any trouble, okay?" Chu Lin looked bewildered and blurted out, "Compensate for what?" Yunwan immediately started calculating. "Medical expenses, 5,000 each for you and your junior brother, a total of 10,000, no discounts. The Jinghua sect disciple whispered to his senior brother, "Senior brother, they were actually the ones who saved us." Chu Lin, being a righteous man, immediately bowed his head and apologized. "I was rude. Please forgive me, Mississippi." But Yinwan wasn't buying it. Her eyes were fixed on the money as she said coldly, "Less talk, hand over the money first." Jinji Weizhen, his face flushed with excitement, was about to explode when Chu Lin stopped him. "We don't have enough money on us. Let's wait until junior sister arrives." Finally, Yinwan reluctantly tossed him a vial. "Use this to stop the bleeding. If it doesn't work, he might not last until your junior sister gets here." Jinji Weizhen asked suspiciously, "Does this cost money too?" Yinwan replied matter-of-factly, "Duh. Do you think I'm running a charity?" The two brothers were stunned. They had never met such a materialistic woman in their lives. Yinwan smugly asked the man beside her, "Am I completely wicked now?" He sighed and said, "Not really." She puffed out her cheeks indignantly. "Not really. So you still think I'm bad?" While applying the medicine to his senior brother, Jinji Weizhen couldn't help but gossip. "This guy's taste is so strange. That woman is greedy and selfish. My lovely junior sister is 10 times better than her. I don't know what he sees in her." Chu Lin looked at Yunwan, who was smiling brightly in the distance. The more he looked, the more ordinary she seemed, yet somehow she also felt strangely familiar. Just then, Qin Jian finally arrived, shouting anxiously, "Senior brother." She had brought a large group of sect disciples with her. "Senior brother, we're here to save you." Qin Jian urgently asked Chu Lin, "Senior brother, how did you get hurt so badly? Who did this to you?" Jinji Weizhen explained for him, "We were ambushed while hunting the spider demon. Senior brother Chu ended up like this because he saved us and the children." Chu Lin said to Qin Jian, "It's not his fault. I was careless. Jian, give all the spirit stones you have to that young lady. She saved Zishuan and me. We should thank her." Qin Jian reluctantly handed a bag of spirit stones to Yunwan. "Here, don't get too cocky. Is this all my senior brother is worth?" Upon hearing this, Yunwan immediately retorted, "Don't be ridiculous. My senior brother is priceless." Yinwan pressed her advantage. "Then let's go by the standard rate. Saving a person is 10,000 spirit stones. Plus the healing potion he drank, that's 15,000 in total." Qin Jian became even angrier. "This is blatant extortion." Yinwan countered righteously, "Ask your senior brother and junior brother if I extorted you." The two brothers said helplessly no. She then looked coldly at Qin Jian. "Or do you think your senior brother isn't even worth 10,000? Fine, give me 10 spirit stones, and I'll save a blade of grass. I don't care if your conscience doesn't hurt." Qin Jian, feeling guilty from her words, had no choice but to give her all her money. "Is this enough?" After receiving the money, Yinwan started to upsell. "The danyao your senior brother used is quite good. Won't buy more." Qin Jian looked disgusted. "Who needs your 5,000 a bottle crappy medicine? Our Jinji Weizhen's medicine is both good and free." Yinwan leaned in and whispered, 5,000 for one bottle, 8,000 for two, 9,000 for three, and you get a free body lotion. Are you sure you don't want any?" Hearing the words body lotion, Qin Jian's eyes lit up immediately. She bought 3 bottles of pills and pretended to say reluctantly, "Fine, I'll reluctantly take them." Yinwan chuckled inwardly, just as I expected. She then spread out a cloth and laid out a pile of glittering treasures on the ground. "These are my prized possessions. Everything is on sale today. Only 8,000 spirit stones." This body lotion was also snatched from the spider demon's treasury. Holding the treasures in her hands, she repeatedly emphasized, "Only one of each item." A group of men were stunned by her treasures. Wow, so many rare cultivation treasures. Yinwan continued to tempt these wealthy customers. Come, fellow Taoists, take a look. Don't be shy if you need anything. There are discounts for bulk purchases." Qin Jian tentatively asked, "I don't have enough spirit stones. Would you be willing to come back with me to get them?" She casually replied, "No problem. You can barter, write an IOU, or I can send someone to collect the money. Then I'll trade this jade for the ice stone. I want this body tempering stone. I'll take all of these." Suddenly, the depths of the forest became as lively as a marketplace. Jinji Weizhen sat in the corner, fuming. A bunch of spendthrifts, throwing their money away without a care for our lives. Chi Ting Yun stood beside Yunwan, helping her collect money, one hand taking payment and the other handing over the goods. His demeanor made it seem like he was trying to make money with her. Chi Ting Yun smiled softly, his expression full of amusement. He naturally accepted the spirit stones, casually stuffing them into his pocket. This surprised the man even more This pretty boy didn't seem to feel any guilt at all. The group triumphantly returned with their loot. Chi Ting Yun then asked Chu Lin, "By the way, senior brother, did you get the demon core this time? This is a great opportunity for you to break through to the golden core stage." Chu Lin replied, "I was captured. They killed the demon." Yin guiltily hid behind Chi Ting Yun and whispered, "It wasn't me, it was him." Any objections? She asked them. Then, after the spider demon died, where's the demon core? I'll buy it no matter how many spirit stones it takes. Yin said innocently, "I'm afraid that's not possible. I've already swallowed it." Qin Jian was stunned, her worldview shattered. A century-old demon core just swallowed like that, and by a Chi refining stage cultivator, no less. She felt a pang of sympathy for someone else's wallet. Heavens, what a waste of resources. Yin suddenly remembered the original plot. She recalled that in the original story, Chu Lin was supposed to infiltrate the demon lair to search for his missing junior brother. At a critical moment, he would be captured, and on the verge of death, he would break through to the second level of Golden Core, ultimately slaying the demon, retrieving the demon core, consuming it, and advancing to the nascent soul stage. But now, that incredibly important demon core had been swallowed by her. Not only had she disrupted the original plot, but she had also saved the male lead by stopping his bleeding and earned him a fortune. Thinking of this, she was overjoyed and said proudly to Qin Jian, "We killed the demon. I can swallow the demon core if I want, or throw it away if I want. What's it to you?" But then she plopped down on the ground, bursting into tears. "Wah, I hate you. I hate demons. I thought senior brother would advance to the nascent soul stage, and then we could get engaged. You ruined everything." Yin hurried over to comfort her. All right, I'll compensate you, okay?" Something was stuffed into Qin Jian's hand. It was a free gift. Qin Jian's eyes lit up. This crybaby was finally dealt with. Yin thought to herself, done. She then reminded her, "Remember to return the money within 3 days. Interest starts accruing after that." Qin Jian patted her chest, guaranteeing, "Don't worry. As the daughter of the Jingyue sect leader, I would never owe you anything." Yin casually replied, "I'm just reminding you." Chi Ting Yun, holding a money bag, asked Yin, "Is everything arranged?" He gestured to a group of Tianyao birds standing off to the side, dressed in rags, covered in dust, and awaiting instructions. Yin said enthusiastically, "Next, we need to get them some new clothes." The surrounding Tianyao called out in unison, "Master." Yin found them too noisy and immediately hushed them. "Quiet, stand still, and let me take your measurements." Looking at their wings, she muttered with some difficulty, "Their bodies are simple enough, but there are also the wings and tails. How am I supposed to explain this to a tailor?" The measuring tape in her hand was snatched by Chi Ting Yun. He said, "Let me do it. I'll make their clothes. You just rest on the side." She stepped back, shocked. This bodyguard actually had this skill. She secretly anticipated, "You better do a good job." Sure enough, Chi Ting Yun skillfully threaded the needle. Each stitch was expertly and attentively made. He shook out the fabric and said confidently, "It'll be done in half an hour." She admired him even more, thinking, so amazing. If this skill is honed, maybe he could even dominate the cultivation world's fashion industry. She was just about to say, "I want to learn too," when Chi Ting Yun immediately interrupted her thoughts. "You can't learn." She asked in surprise, "Why?" He said, "Frankly, your cultivation isn't high enough." These words weren't particularly hurtful, but they were incredibly discouraging. She puffed up her cheeks and said, "Ugh, I don't want to be a newbie forever." While sewing, Chi Ting Yun said to her on the way back, "I saw a lake in the back mountains. The spiritual energy there is very abundant. It might be able to improve your cultivation." As soon as Yin heard about improving her cultivation, she perked up, asking excitedly, "Where?" "Where?" Chi Ting Yun said calmly, "I'll take you there." He brought her to a lake with a cascading waterfall where spiritual energy swirled. Yin patted the water and asked him, "Are you going to bathe?" He said coldly, "Don't mind me. I'll keep watch for you." She suggested, "This lake is so big. I'll go to the left and you go to the right. That way we can finish bathing together and go back together." Chi Ting Yun blushed. Yin generously reassured him, "Don't worry, I won't peek." She entered the spiritual spring to bathe, letting out a comfortable ah. All her mental stress dissipated, revealing her naturally beautiful and charming face. Yin thought to herself, "I wonder how the original owner is doing now. I wonder if she's living in a modern world using my identity. Maybe she can even inherit my boxing career. Either way, I hope that poor girl is safe." Meanwhile, Chi Ting Yun was also diligently cultivating, trying to improve his cultivation level. However, the speed of his recovery was still extremely slow, and it would probably take 3 years to return to his original level. Just then, a small snake quietly slithered into the water and began to rub against him. Tickled, he couldn't help but say, "Yunwan, stop it." The small snake had already slid past his waist, continuing southwards, slithering down his thigh. The strange sensation from his lower body made him abruptly open his eyes. The snake coiled around his leg at his ankle like a bracelet. Hearing the commotion, Yunwan called out worriedly, "Chi Ting Yun, are you all right?" Hearing no response, she had to go over and check. The moment she saw him, she froze, her gaze completely captivated. Chi Ting Yun looked incredibly good, his muscles well-defined and glistening with water, particularly eye-catching. Her face flushed crimson as she stammered, "I heard something over here, so I came to check. I wasn't looking for you specifically." Chi Ting Yun simply stared at her silently, saying nothing. Yunwan, however, didn't notice that her clothes had become transparent in the water, giving Chi Ting Yun a clear view of her breasts faintly visible beneath the clear surface. Chi Ting Yun quickly averted his gaze and said in a low voice, "There's an eel." She gasped. "Where?" He pointed to his leg. "On my leg." She bravely said, "Don't worry, I'll catch it." Chi Ting Yun hurriedly stopped her. "Don't," but it was too late. She grabbed something underwater and exclaimed happily, "I got it. This one's huge. We can roast it tonight." But Chi Ting Yun's face was flushed, his forehead sweating, his voice hoarse. "I've already killed the eel." Yunwan was no longer a child. She immediately understood what she had just grabbed. As if burned, she abruptly let go and quickly swam away. The atmosphere between them was thicker than soup, terribly awkward. Yunwan slowly sank into the water, disappearing from Chi Ting Yun's sight. By the time he came to his senses, she had already swum to the middle of the lake, faster than that eel. Her grab left Chi Ting Yun feeling uncomfortable all over, and he let out a low groan. After a while, the two stealthily slipped back to their original spot. One behind the other, both were extremely embarrassed, neither speaking a word. Even the usually lively Yun had quieted down, only sneaking a glance at him, feeling even more awkward. Chi Ting Yun didn't even dare to look her in the eye. Yunwan mentally slapped herself. "What am I doing? How could I grab the wrong place? I thought it was some strange, magical treasure from the cultivation world. If he finds out what that was, I'll be mortified." Chi Ting Yun suddenly spoke. "That thing I promised you last time, I might not be able to do it." Yunwan tilted her head, a puzzled look on her face. "Chi Ting Yun, are you all right?" He just hummed softly, "I'm fine." She handed him a jar. "Here." He looked at her suspiciously, and Yunwan had to explain, "This is for your health." She added, "Don't worry, it's absolutely safe. It definitely won't be like last time." In her haste, Yunwan blurted it out, dredging up buried memories for both of them. They exchanged glances, the air thick with awkwardness. Yunwan screamed internally, "Why did I bring that up? Now it's even more awkward." Even Chi Ting Yun couldn't hide his embarrassment. She turned to ask him, "So, do you want or not?" Chi Ting Yun simply said, "No, thank you," and tried to slip away. Yunwan softly called after him, "Really don't want it." She caught up and asked again, and he firmly said, "No." Yunwan pumped her fist in the air, a bright smile on her face. "Yay." She instructed the skybirds, "Quickly drink this and disperse. I'll call you if I need you." Now it was just her and Chi Ting Yun. She asked in a low voice, "Chi Ting Yun, aren't you going to rest?" He kept his distance, saying coldly, "I'm keeping watch." Yunwan started rummaging through her bag, as if searching for some treasure. She called to Chi Ting Yun, "Come here." He just glanced sideways at her, unsure what she was up to. Yunwan had already laid out the mattress. "It'll be much more comfortable lying here." In the blink of an eye, she had arranged the pillows and cushions perfectly. She turned to him, giving him her brightest smile. But Chi Ting Yun stubbornly refused to look at her, maintaining this Taoist is very cool demeanor. The skybirds nearby eagerly chimed in, "Master, we can keep watch for you." Da Huang excitedly said, "Master, just relax and rest with your boy toy. We'll make sure no one disturbs you." Yunwan quickly refused, "No need." But Da Huang had already whistled, proving to be a handful as always. The other skybirds also gathered together, preparing to take their respective posts, then flew off to their assigned positions. Yunwan watched them expressionlessly, thinking, weren't these people a little too understanding? Chi Ting Yun, was sitting beside her at this moment. He turned to Yunwan, his face full of amusement. Male concubine. Yunwan quickly explained, he's talking nonsense. I didn't teach him that, I swear. Chi Ting Yun didn't say anything more, just sat beside her. Silence fell between them once again, the atmosphere incredibly awkward. Finally, Chi Ting Yun lay down to rest and asked her, aren't you coming over? She smiled brightly and pulled out another blanket. No need, there are 2 blankets, see? After Yunwan settled down beside him, Chi Ting Yun thought to himself, she really did bring a lot of things. He asked her, what are you planning to do with those half-demons? Half-demons don't have a very good reputation. Using them now, the people around here will probably find it hard to accept. Yunwan didn't want to think about it anymore, and said casually, let's talk about it tomorrow, okay? Yunwan was already drowsy, but before falling asleep, she was still thinking, if only she had a big house, how wonderful that would be. Chi Ting Yun muttered to himself, does she think that's easy? As the night deepened and the weather grew colder, Yunwan shivered, curling up and whispering. Cold. Her icy little hand was grasped by Chi Ting Yun. He pulled the young girl tightly into his arms, warming her so she could sleep soundly. The sun had risen, and the air was quiet and fresh. But early in the morning, Yunwan's mind was already racing. How should she expand her delivery business now? Meanwhile, behind them, someone was stealthily watching. Chi Ting Yun also became alert, sensing that someone was following them. He tightened his grip on his sword. Yunwan, seeing his strange expression, asked what's wrong. He simply said, nothing. But he secretly flicked out a hidden weapon, striking the follower behind them. At the same time, Yunwan continued to talk to herself. I've already thought about it. Later, we'll go to the blacksmith in the city and have them make more crystal tokens so I can distribute them to the delivery people. Chi Ting Yun simply replied with an while the person who had been following them was already knocked to the ground. The 2 finally arrived at Wangshan City. Yunwan was excited by the bustling scene in the city, and the aroma of delicious food in the air made her mouth water. She affectionately took Chi Ting Yun's arm and said, can we eat something first before going to the blacksmith? Chi Ting Yun readily agreed. Okay. Suddenly, a quarrel erupted ahead. You, hand over the Tianshan jade, Oregon stop pretending with that broken sword of yours, or you'll be sorry. The other person retorted, who are you calling a broken sword? This is a famous sword. You can insult me, but don't insult it. The old man waved his cane and shouted in the middle of the market, that's the last piece of Tianshan jade, or passed down from my ancestors. You have to compensate me. It was Li Xuanyu, that unlucky fellow again. I'll compensate you however much you want. Yunwan stepped forward and patted Li Xuanyu on the shoulder. Li Xuanyu subconsciously turned around and asked, who is it? When he saw that it was Yunwan, he was stunned. Yunwan greeted him, Li Xuanyu. Li Xuanyu suddenly rushed over, hugged Yunwan tightly, and cried, my lady. Chi Ting Yun's face darkened, having been pushed aside. He had to step forward and pull Li Xuanyu away, not forgetting to glare fiercely at him. Even Li Xuanyu could feel Chi Ting Yun's terrifying aura. Yunwan peeked out from behind Chi Ting Yun and asked curiously Li Xuanyu, what's wrong? Li Xuanyu Siga. It's a long story. My junior brother and I were tricked into a black market on our way back. They encouraged us to gamble, and my junior brother lost everything, even wagered our entire sect. I originally wanted to pawn my jade pendant to redeem everything, but before I could, his sword swallowed the Tianshan jade. He even had the nerve to ask me to compensate him 50,000 taels of gold, saying it was the treasure of their shop. My lady, can you lend me some money? I'll definitely pay you back. He pleaded pathetically, but Chi Ting Yun stepped forward. Li Xuanyu's pitiful appearance did move Yunwan somewhat, but she felt something was fishy. Tianshan jade wasn't worth that much gold. This was clearly extortion or a scam. So she sat down and asked the old man, where did you get that piece of Tianshan jade? The old man replied, that jade came from my family's property in Little Tianshan. It was originally our best mine, but later demons seized the mountain and we couldn't mine anymore. Our family fortune was ruined. My son risked his life to bring that piece of jade back. Li Xuanyu became anxious again upon hearing this and shouted, stop crying, I'll pay you back. But the old man said, what will you pay me with? You don't have a single copper coin on you. Yunwan panicked, thinking another fight was about to break out. Li Xuanyu finally said, fine, I'll help you drive away those demons. The old man's spirits were immediately lifted. Really? But he still felt uneasy, pointing at Yunwan and Chi Ting Yun. What if you run away? Where will I find you? Unless you leave your friend here as collateral. Yunwan had to step in. All right, you stay here. We'll go. Li Xuanyu was deeply moved by these words. Chi Ting Yun looked reluctant. Yinwan pleaded with him, "We'll go to Little Tian Mountain, drive away the monster, and be back before dark. I'll even get your unlucky jade pendant back. Okay, don't worry." As he walked, he muttered, "You're just too kind." Yinwan suddenly asked, "What does he remind you of?" Chi Ting Yun glanced at the foolish Li Xuanyu waving goodbye, waiting for Yinwan's answer. She looked at Li Xuanyu curiously, a plan forming in her mind. In a low voice, she said, "Doesn't he look a lot like my house?" Chi Ting Yun couldn't help but glance at Li Xuanyu again. His look at Li Xuanyu immediately changed. Li Xuanyu was no longer just Li Xuanyu, but a house. Yinwan thought to herself, "First, I'll deal with the old man's issue, then go to the gambling house and win back his unlucky jade pendant and the house deed. That way, we'll not only have a house, but also 2 free laborers." Chi Ting Yun cautioned her, "I don't think it's that simple. You should think it through." Then he asked, "Do you know Wangshan City has another name?" Of course she knew. Cheat City. Chi Ting Yun slowly said, 200 years ago, Wangshan City had fertile land and everyone lived prosperous lives. But back then, Wangshan City had no governance, and that's where the trouble started. Later, someone came and opened a night market and a gambling house. Every day, there were people trying to cheat and people being cheated. Many cultivators lost everything. Whether you're human, demon, spirit, or immortal, once you enter this city, you have to follow the rules. So, this city became a den of cheats. Later, they provoked someone powerful, and that person stirred up the whole of Wangshan City with a single sword. The city lord had no choice but to ask the sect for help, and only then did that person relent. From then on, Wangshan City could no longer open gambling houses to swindle passing cultivators. Nowadays, the people of Wangshan City appear gentle on the surface, but they're still the same at heart. 8 or 9 out of 10 people who don't know the inside story will be cheated. Yinwan suddenly realized that human was quite impressive. He casually replied, "Of course." Yinwan exposed him, but he had no martial virtue at all. He probably caused trouble because he lost money and face. If he had won, he probably would have been overjoyed. Chi Ting Yun, you wouldn't happen to know this person, would you? Chi Ting Yun pretended not to know, saying no, just a friend. He quickened his pace. Yinwan grew even more suspicious, pressing him, "Tell the truth, is this friend human?" Chi Ting Yun looked pained, refusing to answer. She asked again, "How much did you lose?" Chi Ting Yun grabbed her hand, stopping her from pulling him along. "Stop it." He stared at her. They awkwardly looked away, but their hands remained tightly clasped. Chi Ting Yun spoke. "Wangshan City is full of cheats now. That guy probably fell into a trap. Do you still want to go?" Yinwan said excitedly, "Of course. Let's go check out Little Tian Peak first." Chi Ting Yun held her hand and said, "Then let's go." The two flew towards Little Tian Peak on their swords, shortening the journey considerably. Yinwan looked around and found that the old man hadn't lied. There really were demons here. Right in front of them was a flock of glittering golden birds. Chi Ting Yun told her, "These are earth-turning demons." He grew even more suspicious. "These are demonic beasts from Lushan Mountain. How did they end up here?" Suddenly, Chi Ting Yun patted her shoulder and said, "Let's go." She looked bewildered. "Huh, go where?" He replied, "Kill the demons, take their cores. An earth-turning demon's core can increase a mortal's strength tenfold. You're already at the 12th level of Chi refinement. With a demon core, you can increase your power 100-fold, or even break through Chi refinement." Yinwan looked at Chi Ting Yun as if he were a ghost and asked loudly, "So many. You wanted to kill them?" She was too scared to approach. "No, I can't." Chi Ting Yun reminded her of her initial goal. "Didn't you want to join the Kunlun sect? Your Dao techniques aren't good, so your movement skills have to be. If neither is good, how are you going to pass the entrance exam?" After his lecture, Yinwan fell into deep thought, seriously considering his words. Chi Ting Yun encouraged her further. "If you really can't do it, I'll help you." Finally, Yinwan mustered her courage and said, "All right." She slowly approached the earth-turning demons, who were still sleeping. They were completely unguarded. Chi Ting Yun's instructions echoed in Yinwan's mind. Use Qi to protect your body. Attack their vital points. She leaped into the air and shouted. The earth-turning demons merely glanced at her, not yet realizing what was happening. Yinwan slapped one of the digger demons hard, leaving a large welt. Looking at her hand, she said happily, "I did it." But her action enraged the demon's companions. Their gazes were sharp as knives, like 1,000 needles pricking her back. She realized then that danger was closing in from behind. The enraged digger demons shrieked, preparing to annihilate the enemy who dared trespass on their territory. Yin cried out anxiously, "Don't come any closer." But Chi Ting Yun remained where he stood, showing no intention of rescuing her. Surrounded by a group of enormous digger demons, Yin panicked. "I'm finished. There are too many of them, and these demons are poisonous. I can't hold out much longer." Left with no other choice, she resolved to fight to the death. "Chi Ting Yun, save me," she yelled. But the digger demon still stood before her unharmed, and Chi Ting Yun showed no reaction. He wanted to use this opportunity to train Yin, so he wasn't in a hurry to rescue her. Yin struck a giant eagle with a spirit talisman. The eagle shrieked in pain and tumbled down. Watching the talisman burn out, Yin cried out in a panic, "Chi Ting Yun, save me." But Chi Ting Yun didn't even frown, completely unperturbed. Surrounded by a group of giant eagles, Yin finally realized he wasn't going to intervene. Feeling utterly wronged, she thought, "He lied about protecting me." One of the giant eagles lunged at her with its sharp talons. Terrified, she froze, staring up at the enormous creature like a frightened deer. Yin's eyes were filled with fear as she stared at the giant eagle. "This is it. I'm really done for," she thought. Finally, she resolved to save herself. Spiritual energy gathered at her fingertips, growing stronger and stronger. She suddenly swung her palm at the giant eagle. With a bang, the eagle, caught off guard, took the full force of the blow. Then, she unleashed a flurry of kicks, each imbued with spiritual power, smashing the eagle's flesh and bones like a magical hammer. "Huh!" Yin shouted furiously. "Take this, and this." She beat the eagle to a pulp, but her anger was still unsatisfied. "Take that," she continued to yell. Chi Ting Yun watched silently as she pummeled the eagle, a satisfied smile on his face. From afar, Yin looked like a little tyrant, venting her fury on the eagle as if it were Chi Ting Yun. You bastards, all of you including you." The poor eagle only wished for a swift death to end its torment. Finally, after defeating all the demonic beasts, Yin was panting heavily. Chi Ting Yun strolled over casually and offered her a fiery red bead. But Yin burst into tears, her face full of grievance. Chi Ting Yun froze, the bead still in his hand, completely baffled by the girl's sudden tears. He asked gently, "Yin, why are you crying?" Without a word, Yin kicked him in the shin. "Jerk!" she shouted. Despite Yin's hitting, cursing, and calling him a jerk, Chi Ting Yun didn't flinch. After a while, Yin, tired from her outburst, sat down to rest. Chi Ting Yun asked cautiously, "Do you want to continue, or?" Yin finally spoke. "I'm done venting. Now it's your turn to explain." He replied seriously, "Meditate." Yin followed Chi Ting Yun's instructions and began to meditate. Spiritual energy flowed through her body, much stronger than before, as if she was about to break through to the next realm. She tentatively struck out with her palm and was astonished to discover that she had indeed broken through from chi refining to foundation establishment. Chi Ting Yun explained that in order to advance, a cultivator must overcome their inner demons. Yin, you must never entrust your life to anyone, not even me. Only by relying on yourself can you truly become strong. Yin finally understood. He had been protecting her all along, while she had simply assumed he would rescue her. If he wasn't there, how would she protect herself when danger arose? Chi Ting Yun gently stroked her head. "Besides, I placed a protective talisman on you. I made sure those things couldn't hurt you." Realizing she had misunderstood him, Yin looked down at the leg she had kicked and asked softly, "Did it hurt when I kicked you just now?" Chi Ting Yun replied gently, "It depends. As long as you don't deduct it from my wages, it's fine." He handed her a demon core. "Eat it." Just then, Qin Jian and her group appeared. "You two again?" they asked. Qin Jian continued, "Chu Lin and I came together. We heard that there were demonic beasts attacking people at Little Sky Peak, so we decided to slay them on our way." But as she looked around, Qin Jian froze. The word beasts died on her lips as she realized that the demonic beast had already been annihilated. Astonished, she asked, "Did you two do this?" Chi Ting Yun said casually, "We were bored, so I thought I'd refine some demon cores for her as snacks. Here, take some. Think of them as candy. Chu Lin couldn't help but sigh at this boundless pampering. Chi Ting Yun was stunned, likely never having been doted on like this by a man in her life. Yuan looked at Chi Ting Yun, thinking that while others might offer flowers to Buddha that were meant for someone else, this guy was even more impressive, uprooting the flowers from Buddha's own backyard and presenting them. She acted coquettishly. Carry me on your back. Chi Ting Yun immediately obliged, hoisting his precious darling onto his back. This infuriated Chi Ting Yun even more, and she shouted, so sickening. Showing off your love much. Yuan retorted, what, are you jealous? If you are, you can carry me too. Hearing this, Chi Ting Yun became even angrier. Carry you? You're shameless. Having a man carry you in broad daylight. Aren't you embarrassed? Yuan said playfully, oh, I understand. Then I'll have a woman carry me. With that, she suddenly jumped onto Chi Ting Yun's back, repeatedly shouting, giddy up, coachman. Chi Ting Yun was nearly in tears with rage. Get off, you shameless thing. Who wants to carry you? Get off. The two men stood silently to the side, not interfering in the women's quarrel. Seeing Chi Ting Yun trembling with anger, Yuan finally felt a bit apprehensive, wondering if she had gone too far. But she still pointed her sword at Chi Ting Yun and declared, you vicious woman, I'm going to kill you. Yuan asked coldly, when are you going to pay me back? The murderous aura around her instantly vanished, and the sword in her hand dropped. Her eyes flickered, not daring to meet Yuan's gaze. Yuan turned to Chu Lin and said, this little sky peak is an old man's jade mine in Wangsun City. Because it was occupied by Quan Dao, his family's business has been affected. We're here to investigate. If you've also received the news, then I'll leave it to you to handle. After you're done, bring the demon cores back for reporting, and then we'll meet up. Chi Ting Yun asked suspiciously, meet up for what? Are you really that kind? Yuan put on an act of goodwill. To teach you how to make money. As long as you listen to me, I won't pursue your old debt, and you can even earn some money. Chi Ting Yun was somewhat tempted, her eyes full of anticipation as she asked, you're not lying to me, are you? Yuan handed a bunch of good things to Chi Ting Yun. Here, do you believe me now? If I dare to lie to you, you can have your senior brother chop me down with his sword. Chi Ting Yun stiffened and replied, forget it, take the IOU first, or you'll say I'm not trustworthy again. We're going to Wangshan City too. Let's go together. The ring on her finger moved slightly, and an extremely luxurious treasure ship appeared in the air. Chi Ting Yun looked at Yin Wu's shocked expression and sneered, country bumpkin, aren't you getting on board? Or do you need me to carry you up? Yuan had already climbed onto the ship and shouted excitedly to Chi Ting Yun, hurry up and come on board. We don't have to be out in the wind anymore. But he said haughtily, no need, I'll use my sword. But the sword in his hand also betrayed its master, whooshing away and leaving only a gust of wind. Chi Ting Yun's face darkened. Good sword secretly rejoiced, finally free from being ridden. I have to get out of here quickly. Chi Ting Yun finally relented, reluctantly boarding the treasure ship, his face full of unwillingness. Inside the cabin, a table of exquisite snacks had already been prepared, and Yuan happily sampled each delicacy. She thought to herself, not bad, this is great. I have to get one of these myself sometime. Yuan turned and instructed her man, you should buy one too when you get a chance. Then we won't have to be out in the wind anymore. Chi Ting Yun casually mentioned the price, and the two of them were immediately stunned. This treasure dragon ship isn't cheap, at least 1,000,000 spirit stones. Can you afford it? Hearing this, Chi Ting Yun put down his teacup and frowned. Wan, don't be so materialistic. After several hours of travel, they finally returned to where Li Shanyu was waiting. He even knelt down, overwhelmed with gratitude. Miss Yuan, thank you for saving my life. Li Shanyu will never forget your kindness. Chi Ting Yun interjected, so the demon beasts you killed were all captured by them. They tamed them and threw them onto Little Sky Peak, letting the beasts eat you, then rushed in to snatch the magical treasures and sold them for money. Li Shanyu angrily interjected, that's right. That old geezer even poisoned my tea, trying to steal my sword. Fortunately, these two arrived in time. The tea tasted exactly like what my junior brother drank before, and we were both knocked unconscious. We signed a contract and lost the competition. Yuan patted his shoulder. Don't worry, we'll go rescue your junior brother. Li Shanyo azitata. But we'll take a lot of spirit stones to ransom him. I'm afraid. Yuan sneered. Who said we're using money? I'm going to win everything back. Chi Ting Yun snorted. I knew you had ulterior motives. You tricked me into thinking I could get rich, and now you're going to gamble me away. I shouldn't have believed your lies. Yuan is stirring up trouble again. This isn't right. Gambling requires wagering money. You haven't put up any money or magical artifacts. How is this gambling? While I was strolling outside, I overheard them talking about holding a sword competition. The top 5 winners, and those who bet on them, will receive generous rewards. There are 4 of us, so we can have one person bet on us, and that way we can double our winnings. Li Shanyu couldn't help but remind her, Miss, you don't understand the people in the black market. When they hold sword competitions, they'll definitely have their own people secretly interfere to ensure their own victory. That's how my junior brother and I were cheated. Yinwan said, that's why I said all 4 of us should participate. 3 people will protect one person, specifically ensuring that person wins, while the other 3 focus on defense. Or are you saying, with your skills, you can't even protect Chu Lin? Chu Lin felt something was amiss and wanted to pull his sister back. Hey Yin, we've finished our business here. Let's return to the sect and report to the elders. She was conflicted, wanting to stay, but also afraid of being exposed. It's not like I'm completely useless, but if father finds out. So I still. Seeing her hesitation, Yinwan continued to persuade her. If I really wanted to trick you, I would have done it already. Besides, we're not gambling, we're saving you. Qin Jian looked bewildered. Huh, she replied. You didn't know, did you? Before we came here, it was to help him win back his sect and his cheated junior brother. Risking everything to save you. That's true chivalry. If heaven has eyes, it will surely bless us. The fish finally took the bait. Qin Jian nodded. All right, let's do it. Then she said to Chu Lin, brother, his sect is gone. Let's help him. Li Shanyu nudged him, pleading, yes, brother, my sect is gone. Please help me. Only Chi Ting Yun remained calm, wiping his sword and saying slowly, humph, don't believe a word she says. Since everyone agreed, Yinwan began to assign tasks. Let's divide the work. Li Shanyu, Chu Lin, you 2 are strong. You'll be responsible for support. The rest, running away, leave that to us. No problem. Qin Jian turned to beg her brother, brother, just this once, please. They were completely confused. Yinwan handed a money pouch to Qin Jian. Go to the stands and bet this. She asked in a daze, are we sure to win? Yinwan casually replied, if we win, it's all yours. Yinwan excitedly shouted, all right, tasks assigned. Next, let's go register. Seeing them enter, a worker hurried to inform the boss. Boss, young Master Li is here. The shopkeeper asked with interest, oh, young Master Li is here. Is it him? Chi Wei, the black market boss, turned to ask Li Shanyu, young Master Li, are you here to repay your debt so soon? Li Shanyu forced himself to reply, I don't have the money, but I have a better deal. I wonder if Boss Chi is interested. Boss Chi glanced at them and asked arrogantly, are these the helpers young Master Li found? Just a measly foundation establishment cultivator. Yinwan stepped forward and said, Boss Chi, I'm participating in the sword competition tomorrow. If I win, you return our land deed and his junior brother, and write off all debts. She handed over a money pouch containing 30,000 spirit stones and a demon beast core. If I lose, these are all yours, and you can do whatever you want with these 2. How about it? Boss Chi said to the little girl beside him. This deal isn't worthwhile. The little girl grinned. Since they don't have any money anyway, might as well gamble. Besides, gambling isn't about whether it's worthwhile or not. It's about winning or losing, right? Boss Chi laughed heartily, finding it increasingly interesting. As long as you drip a drop of blood from your fingertip, you can make this bet with me. A giant contract unfurled in the air, hovering before Yunwan. Without hesitation, she took out a small knife, preparing to prick her finger, but Chi Ting Yun stopped her. He whispered to her, this is a demonic realm soul oath. Once the blood contract is established, the soul is bound. Whoever breaks the contract will have their soul taken. Don't make such an oath carelessly. But Yinwan just winked at him confidently. Trust me. She dripped blood onto the contract. Chi Ting Yun couldn't help but worry. What is she planning? The contract between the 2 parties was officially established. Boss Chi reminded them, the competition is tomorrow at Chunshur, 7 to 9 a.m. at the East Peach Arena. If there's nothing else, take your leave. Everyone quickly left. Li Shanyu anxiously said to her, Miss, how could you just drip your blood? That's a demonic soul contract. What if? Yinwan blinked and said, I didn't drip any blood at all. He was shocked. Huh. She explained further. I scouted the place beforehand and knew Boss Chi was easily fooled. I specifically bought this knife in the black market. It's filled with rabbit blood. I used the rabbit blood when signing the contract. Even if I lose, it won't affect me. Chu Lin questioned her. Your Chihuahua, Yu Chao, lives in the Fox clan. Do you really think you can fool him? Yin Wan calmly replied. Even if it's fake, he's already placed his bet. If he kills me now, he's the one who'll lose face. She let out a long sigh of relief. That's good. My heart's been hanging in the air, and now it's finally settled. Yin Wan handed Li Shan a small bottle. Take this. Use it for the competition tomorrow. Li Shan asked curiously, what is this? She replied, you'll find out tomorrow. She added, the most important thing now is to find an inn and rest up. After settling into the inn, Yin Wan immediately went to take a bath. Soaking in the tub, she sighed contentedly. Oh, this feels so good. Outside, night had fallen and the moon hung high. Suddenly, she felt a wave of discomfort, sweat pouring down like rain. Waves of heat surged through her body. She thought, why am I suddenly so hot? Am I allergic to those flower petals? She decided not to soak any longer and reached for a towel. She stepped out of the bathtub and dragged her weak body to the door, leaning against it to rest. At that moment, Chi Ting Yun's voice called out, Wan Wan, dinner's ready. Hearing no response, he peeked through the crack in the door and asked again, Wan Wan, are you in there? Yin Wan collapsed unexpectedly into his arms. She looked up at him and said, thank you, Ting Yun. I think I have a fever.